allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome to the work session. Let's start with the roll call.
Scott Howard, President.
Here.
William Pell, here. Edward Warner Jr.
Present.
Ann Walker.
Here.
William Parrish.
Present.
Okay,
We're all
welcome.
here.
Welcome, thank you. Welcome, everybody, to the April 18th, 2022, 9:30 a.m. work session. I see we have our constables here. We got Constable Franks here, does a fabulous job supervising marine maintenance. Rich, why don't you guys come on up, get you guys in and out. We want to do a little marine maintenance planning.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Morning,
How are you doing today?
Morning.
I saw you gave a nice synopsis of past week's work, a couple weeks' work. You guys got a lot going on, very productive,
Oh, maintenance, yep.
maintenance-wise.
Mm-hmm. Barge is almost done. It'll be getting launched this week, and then we'll start buoys.
Now, on the subject of that barge,
Yeah, go
while I'm
ahead.
bringing it up, what do you think? I mean, I know you guys are, the crew's done a great job at patching the thing back together again, but it's pretty old. What do you really think the longevity is on the planning end for, like, when we need to really start thinking about a replacement for that? Because obviously it's,
Well, 2 years ago, we rebuilt the whole thing, as you know. We brought it in our Bay Constable shop, redid the whole deck, new helm, new everything. That was 2 years ago. This year, we did the hydraulic steering. When we opened up the stern, it was kind of rotted again.
right.
So we're looking at probably 2 years, maybe 3. The only thing right now, longevity-wise, like at the end of the season when we're done, we always have it hauled and brought it up to Jackson
Yeah, it doesn't sit in
Avenue.
the water anymore.
So it doesn't sit, it doesn't get waterlogged, so. And plus that opens the door for us to be able to do any kind of needed repairs in the off-season.
Maybe we can get Sound Marine to start drawing up
Well,
plan.
we would have to go, we would have.
well, to go to bid.
Yeah,
but
we
Yeah,
gotta-
yeah.
Yeah, we,
He seems to be, when the bid process, because he's a local vendor, it seems like he's always
right.
the best, like with Pump Out, he always seems to be the best.
Yeah, I mean, we would have to follow the, proper procurement.
We looked at him just on the internet, searching over when it first discovered the rot in the barge, and, 180,000, 200,000 is not out there anymore. That's like, it seems to be.
Yeah.
And that's not even for a bigger.
Anything substantial without hydraulics or a crane or
Right,
anything,
right.
or a landing crafts type.
That's just the barge itself.
Right,
That's just the barge.
I looked at this,
Equipment.
and it was, in that $200,000 to $300,000
Oh, yeah.
number. So,
Yeah.
and that's why planning is so important, because, I mean, it's a tool.
Sure.
You need this thing, and,
Yeah.
I went down and I looked several days, and the guys did a great job at, basically patching that thing back together again. But the reality is that
It's not gonna last
it's
forever.
not gonna,
No.
yeah, it's out of the water, so it's drying out, but then as soon as you put the thing back in, it's starting to soak it back in again.
Plus, if you
Well,
think
that-
about it, another 2 or
How
3
old,
years
Ed?
from now, you'd have to
I
repower.
think it's about
you know?
16 years old, I think.
I mean, it was built well. I will say, when the trustees first had the guy build it in Flanders, they did it's built,
Yeah.
it's heavy. I mean, and there are wood boats that are still being used in all facets of, but again,
They're still building wood boats, sure.
as the
Yeah.
workload increases, the scope of the work increases,
Right.
it becomes it's a small barge for what is being done now.
Right, I think that really a consideration would be, sometimes we're handling 25-foot greenheart piles, and I don't think that
That barge can't handle
can't
that.
handle it, so
No.
it's not really handling.
It's too much weight for the boom that we have,
Right, so you're gonna
You
need
know?
a more stable craft,
without a doubt.
heavier boom, you're gonna need, aluminum type barge, but you're still gonna need a wooden deck, because obviously you're gonna just bugger that deck up if you.
Yeah, they'll probably put, rough sawn oak, like chafing gear down and stuff like
Over
that.
aluminum.
So like
Or
the,
they put bridge planking down.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, yeah.
so the reality is, whatever it is that we're doing on the budgetary side, what you're saying is, kind of what I was thinking, is that in the next few years, we have to be figuring out how we're gonna
To replace it.
deal with this. I mean, and, think about this, trying to get trucks for marine maintenance right now, with
Yeah.
supply chain issues and everything else. you can't even get a truck. We had a truck, right? We found a truck at a dealership that was familiar with the governmental process. And, we were going through the motions to, follow the steps that have to occur. It's different than, you're just walking in off the street, hey, I'll take that. And someone obviously got it out from underneath us.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So now I'm trying that again today. I was over there at the comptroller's office. I'm gonna try this again, and see what happens. Right? So here we're talking about.
The same thing happens to us. too. It's-
Right,
You
right.
can't get any vehicles. It's very difficult.
I know, but we need them. So-
Oh, yeah.
So I went over there this morning, and I had a meeting with, we're gonna try this again. But I think that we have to start to be thinking, as we're moving forward on the budgetary side, that this is gonna become an issue.
Oh,
And
yeah.
new trucks and those break. I mean, we're faced right now, we have, the truck I drive is a 2021. It's got it's got going in for a warranty. Don's truck is in for a warranty now, it's only a year old. So it's not like,
You get something new and it lasts.
when
you know
we
what I
say
mean?
we need
It's
an extra
constantly-
vehicle for, in case something happens, sometimes we're met with, well, wait a minute, we don't purchase extra things, but in a sense, it's not an extra, it's a backup vehicle, because, you can't use a car to do marine maintenance, like, you can't use a Parks Department, like, sometimes John Irwin is good enough to lend us a truck. On the law enforcement side, we can't get in a Parks Department vehicle and conduct law enforcement duties, it opens up a whole scope.
Trustees marine maintenance, we gotta take care of trust properties. That's what we have to do, and you need equipment to do that, good equipment. So-
And not to interrupt, but as we fix these properties, then the maintenance side to keep them up and going is a lot, and rightfully so. We bulkhead Baycrest Avenue, it comes out a beautiful facility, but now we have to maintain that facility.
Right? That's all
You know,
it is.
so that we
Right.
don't run into it going down.
That's why we were working on the electric,
Yeah.
the bubble system for the poles.
But, yeah,
You know.
exactly.
So it's
Exactly.
constant.
Which is another expense. I mean, this winter wasn't really bad with ice.
No, we didn't.
But like Trumpet, the one that's over down South Bay Avenue.
Yeah.
We're gonna need to get electric, you need like a 200 amp service there.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking, you're gonna spend $20-some thousand.
Well, we did the same project at Old Fort by the college. That was over 20 grand.
Right, it's gonna be 20-some odd grand for that.
And we use, thermostats. They put,
Right.
everything's set up,
So we're already at like
ice eaters.
Well, it's,
right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think from a planning perspective with the trustees, because all these projects come flying in, and maintenance you have to do. You gotta take care of the trust properties, and it's gotta be planned for, and it's expensive to do that, if you want the public to safely be able to access and enjoy, recreationally or commercially, whatever they got going on.
I look at the barge, getting back to that, once a wooden boat or a barge gets compromised, and has fiberglass over it, it's basically sealed and
Sure.
it will just keep, degrading down pretty quickly. Aluminum built barge, you're gonna get 20, 30 years out of.
I agree.
So the longevity of the investment is gonna well pay for itself going forward. So that's the way I look at it.
Right.
Plus, I think the stability, you can build it, design it with the
Well-
stability and ability to handle those green heart piles, which I think will be a lot better for the maintenance.
Yeah, well, you'll be able to build it to your spec, what you want,
But
Right.
what a lot of
moving
people don't
forward.
understand is you're from Eastport to East Hampton, you're in the Peconics.
Yeah.
and,
Oh, yeah.
With a, was it?
Oh, yeah.
28-foot
It's,
by
27 by 12,
12,
yeah?
a flat
Need more
bottom,
bigger.
Oh, yeah.
boat, it takes a terrible
Big
beating.
is good, I'm all.
Oh, yeah.
So in order-
Stay in the cabin.
In order to handle the longer piles, how
Mm-hmm.
much does the size of the barge have to go up?
Well, it would go by the boom on the barge, whether it's hydraulic or something like that. We don't have a floating barge crane like what you'd see on a regular dock builder would have. So you'd have to encompass all of that on one unit. And it would have to be able to hold the weight. The green heart pilings are very heavy.
Naval architect.
You know.
they would make those
Engineered.
calculations.
Yeah, they would engineer it
Yeah.
so that it would be able to handle it,
So you back into it.
sure.
Right,
Yeah.
they'll make those calculations at the
Yeah.
factory in terms of
Yeah,
what.
the-
it'll
like-
handle.
Like San Marine, he'll send it up to his architect, they'll draw it. If we put out a spec, we want, I would say we would have to go to 32 by 14. Or 32 by 12, I would say 32 by 14.
14 would be,
Yeah.
And to handle so much weight, and then they would draw it
They'll
out.
figure it out.
Yeah.
So actually, I asked him several years ago, he did do a sketch plan on one.
It was in our office. You and I looked at it.
Yeah.
It was a two-part barge. We're gonna
Bolt it
break-
together.
Bolt it together, yeah.
All right,
We've already,
yeah. Single unit probably be better.
That I think
Yeah.
single unit would be
Yeah,
better.
'cause
Yeah.
at the time with that, like Ed was talking about, we thought about taking it to, Mill Pond or
Uh-huh,
You could truck it in two pieces.
Yeah.
truck it in 2 pieces. But, with the new outboards, we can go, you can do, you do 14 knots, so you can make pretty good time with it.
right, right.
I thought we were talking about also with the smaller stuff is getting something to stabilize the other aluminum boat. when
The
we're
Garvey.
working on the
Yeah,
Garvey, like-
the talons, yep.
Did we go into, did we get any?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're ordered.
Lisa
We're just
ordered
waiting
them,
on
yeah. This way we can, we'll be able to jet in the whips from the Garvey instead of having to utilize the barge for
Yeah,
that.
that'll-
Because
that'll
certain
be-
places
be
you,
chasing the,
well, yeah, last year we were double anchoring, it was, yeah, it's very difficult.
I've driven trap poles.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You know, it's-
Yeah.
and the more, again, as the projects, the scope of the projects get bigger, the equipment needs to be able to handle those projects, and
Right.
we're growing, the town is growing,
Yes.
population has doubled,
You sure?
and we went through a lot of years of no fixing, so, kind of essentially playing catch-up, which in itself
very
is hard, and
expensive.
then.
Oh, yeah,
Right. Well, that's what we're trying to do now, and then, so we don't get behind, like with this barge, like, we're gonna try and get ahead of it now. That's why we're talking about it now and asking, like, okay, 3 years, it goes by in a blink. This way we can plan for that financially, and then what it's gonna take with supply chain issues and, backlogs and everything else that we're having difficulty in getting, we could get ahead of that curve.
Well, it's almost sounding to me between end of the useful life approaching and supply chain issues and planning, like we almost need to,
Start now.
right?
Well, that's why we're talking about it.
We are starting.
That's exactly why,
What's our next step, though?
well, with this, I mean, our next step would be putting together a spec,
Okay.
putting together a bid spec, and then continuing on the process of the due diligence, see
Yeah.
what we need, and then we'll boil it down, and then I think, another next step for the trustee board is to be thinking on the financial aspect of it
We
in
have to
terms of
bond
what our
it.
priorities are, right, and how we're gonna pay for it, and what makes the most sense, and so forth. Factor that into everything else that we do, because you have limited resources, not unlimited resources. And, so we're gonna have to do some planning there, and that's why I think it's important to have these
You
conversations.
could be looking at at least a year for outboard engines.
Right,
yeah,
And
still,
you're also looking at a climate where we can get a price today, even from a commercial boat builder, and I can guarantee in that contract's gonna be a clause that they could possibly upcharge at a later date with materials, and so,
we're in a tough spot, so we gotta be planning.
that's everyone, that's the average Joe buying his own boat is getting hit with that same upcharge, the boats are a year out.
Right, but
And,
what we have to do, you're talking about public safety, you're talking about.
oh, no,
Yeah.
we can get started on drawing up what the need right away.
Yeah,
mean, it's
but I think we really should get moving on that, because we're gonna have to do a lot of legwork and a lot of homework, all right? Because like Trustee Warner was saying, it's something that could be around for 20, 30 years, so you wanna do it right, the first
Sure.
time, if you're gonna have
Yeah.
it that long.
Yep.
Be thinking about other uses that you're gonna have, other types of equipment that doesn't need a generator on it. Do you need to run, other types of tools off of this?
Oh,
You
I
know,
think, yeah, we
Yeah,
definitely.
you know what I mean?
We need to
Yeah.
get
Hydraulics.
Millennium.
you wanna have a landing craft part of it, we could put a Bobcat on it,
Yeah.
and bring that to a job site if we needed it,
You want to be thinking about this stuff when you're talking
Yes.
about a piece of equipment like this. You don't want to just go at it,
Say we made a mistake.
Correct, so.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
we
or it
start
doesn't fit
now-
the need, right.
We'll hone it down. We can start looking at different builders, getting different ideas, and I think it'll help make a
You
good
can
decision.
you can put a ramp off like the barge he built for me was 26 by 12.
Mm-hmm.
And with 215 with loaded, I could do 14 knots in it. And I could take 2,500 pounds off, hoist the cages off the side.
Oh, okay. Well, that
I
would
mean,
be,
I think I know we have to go to bid, his
that's-
product is proven
Oh, yeah.
between the pump out and,
But I'm saying you could go up to the shore with that, just put a ramp down for the bottom.
oh, okay.
yeah, yeah,
It drafts like about 6 inches of water, which is really nice.
right.
That's the advantage of
I
these
mean-
barges, loading and unloading them, getting them close to the beach.
Yeah, you just gotta follow,
Yeah, you gotta.
follow the course.
You gotta-
Sure.
Follow the course.
So you guys draw up a list of specs, kind of a wish list?
You could, yeah,
Amen.
we'll all get our heads together,
Yeah, we could do that.
make a list.
If we can sit down, me and Ed can sit down with you.
All right, that's fine. What
Um,
else we got?
Brush jetty.
Yep,
at
Carter
Carter
Creek.
Creek.
Yeah.
I'll meet with Ryan sometime this week, look at.
To get the
some-
locusts?
I got some old trap poles
Yeah,
down
yeah.
there if they're,
Uh-huh.
viable to use.
I talked to him on Friday. I told him that you were gonna call him directly,
Yep.
and then this way we'll get the
I'll
polls
reach out with
from
them
Eddie.
this week, and I did ask 2 contractors and about when they clean properties off about locust posts.
Mm-hmm.
And they were pretty much, if they were big enough to use, they were actually gonna start using them themselves for projects because
Okay.
the green heart is so hard to get and so expensive.
Yep,
And one of the contractors is gonna look upstate to a farm raised locust, which has been used in several projects in my area.
okay.
So maybe we can get that working too, but as of right now, I will contact Ryan and make a time and date in the afternoon to go.
Sure, yep. I told him you would.
Okay, good.
Yep.
The next thing is, while you're here, we can talk about the grader for Scholar Pond Road.
The road grader.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, Suffolk County contract, and I wanna say it was like $3,000 to rent it for the day. And
That's for the whole week?
with that,
That's for the whole week or
For the
just one
day?
day?
I mean, for the week, rather.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the week, because it was 1 week or a month.
Yeah.
So I think it's $3,000 for the week. In that-
$40.
Yep, in that is 2 culverts that run through Scallopon Road that drain the wetlands on both sides. And we want to raise the height of the roadway to try to alleviate all the puddling and everything else. Once you grade down the road, we're going to have to add millings or whatever we have, the environmental stuff that we got from the open.
Yes.
We have unlimited supply of that. So working with the maintenance guys and the highway department,
The highway was gonna deliver.
and then,
it to us.
yes, when we rent the machine, they'll deliver it to the job site. Highway will supply an operator because my guys can't operate a road grader, but 2 of the highway guys can.
Okay.
Good.
And then highway also had the culvert pipe to go through the road, so before we do that, we'll have to dig those out, replace them, grade the roadway out, and then raise it.
So they're gonna charge the
Yeah.
trustees back for this, or when you say they got unlimited millings and
Well, no, the millings are for free,
millings are free?
yep.
We could double check with Charlie, but. I
And
don't
then we could
believe
check
that.
with Charlie, but they were just willing to work with us
Yeah, it's a
together.
good joint.
A joint project
Or
between the
between the two
trustees and the highway
departments.
department, yep.
So
good.
how has this been done before, when it's been graded?
The last time we did it, we borrowed one of the big payloaders from the highway yard in North Sea. But all it does is just grade the road and doesn't fix the problem.
Just recreates it
And
6 months later.
you get a couple of heavy-duty rainstorms, you get people that drive down there, then the next thing you know, you have these big divots in it, and the road floods, and it just gets worse and worse and worse.
So this.
And we only have Bobcats, which are small, so for us to utilize those two,
Ground is pretty hard.
it's very hard. You'd never be able to grade it out that way.
Before that-
It'd take weeks to
So-
fix
Yeah,
it.
before that, Billy Clare, we used to hire him to go down there
Yep.
once, twice a year, right, Ed?
Yeah, or
Yeah.
Billy Masterson when the
Yeah.
highway did
Yeah.
have graders.
Uh-huh.
The thing with using a road grader on these projects,
pitch
you
it.
can pitch it and manipulate the material.
Right.
When you use a Bobcat or a payloader, you're literally just digging it out and creating
Right.
more of a problem.
Right.
This is an extremely environmentally sensitive area.
Oh, yeah.
With the marsh on both
Mhm.
sides. So to be going in with a highway-size road grader and installing millings and.
Well, they're
replacing
environmentally
culverts.
friendly. That's from the US Open. It already got checked off by DEC. We're allowed to use it by the water. Because we use it for trustee roads on Dune Road. And it already is good to go.
But the pitching of the
Mhm.
runoff into the marsh on both sides of the road,
Right.
that is problematic. I would assume that the neighboring property owners will have to be informed about
Well, that's
this
why
and
the
reach out
culverts are there.
services.
That's to drain the wetlands on both sides of the road.
Because right now, when the high tide comes, it just goes over the road.
It just goes over the whole
Goes over the
thing.
road,
Right.
comes, so,
You know, if you don't have those culverts
you're
in the
saying
road
is
to
that-
drain it,
it actually would be better if you raised the road because
Yes.
It'll keep the stuff from going over the road and washing the road off and going into either side. So I think it's more environment friendly to raise the road to keep that stuff off.
Yeah, you wouldn't get where the tide comes up and goes over. The only thing you would have to contend with is rainwater, which it would evaporate anyway. You know, once the water sits stagnant on the other side, then you're gonna have, you know, mosquito heaven over there and the larva and all of that, and, you know, you don't want that.
I mean, not, the environmental end of it is the board's decision, and then we'll facilitate whatever you guys decide.
Yeah, whatever you,
Because right now, there's a lot of garbage and weeds on both sides, because when the tide comes in, it just comes in from the water, comes in from people throwing it out the truck window, car
Right.
window.
Is the design to raise the grade at the same time?
yes.
By how much?
That I don't know. We didn't get into specifics yet.
It's only a few inches.
Yeah.
That's not the point. The point is that it's an extremely environmentally sensitive area, and you're increasing traffic by.
I get it, but
by-
again.
We get it, and also you mentioned to me, and several years ago, last time you didn't want to go down there because you did not want people to go down there. It's access for the freeholders, and that's where we sit on the board. It's not your private place to walk your dog down, what you said to me before.
Excuse me, Trustee Pell.
That's what you said to me a few years ago when I wanted to put clamshells down there, okay? And you, and I said
So-
to you
so-
that it's open to the freeholders
Of
and access
course,
point.
it's open to the freeholders, but I'm making the point that there is marsh there.
We realize that.
And by increasing access, it's critical environmentally important marsh. And I'm just concerned about if we raise the road and do all this stuff that hasn't been done before. I mean, I think that it needs to be, I think at the very least, the neighboring property owners need to be informed. of
Again,
this.
no disrespect to any trustee member, but that's a you guys issue. Once we get it
One-
thing, we'll
right.
facilitate.
Yeah,
I
we'll do,
understand.
yeah, like if you guys decide,
can't
whatever
wait
you
any longer.
decide,
This
then,
is, this
you know.
is the first I'm hearing of this
Yeah.
project in its entirety, so I'm just
Sure.
voicing my opinion about this, and there's.
Absolutely. I just mean,
Yeah.
that's not, we're not gonna wait.
No, and I think it's good. I think it's a good conversation. This is how you have a work session. It's nuts and bolts, and this is how, you know, you sort through things. I mean, the role of the trustee, you know, is an important role. We have all these lands, underwater lands that we have to be, you know, stewards of, under our purview.
Right.
You want to take into all the considerations.
You know, we try to get out and take care of the complaints as we get them. And the only way to actually facilitate getting this road fixed is to utilize that kind of machinery.
Well, the question
You know,
is,
is the other thing.
does this road need to be fixed?
Oh,
in
wow.
this
Yeah,
way?
it's pretty bad. It's like,
Well,
real-
in this way,
it's real bad.
So complaints, so when you say you know, you get the complaints, so what type of complaints are you getting on this road?
Well, it's hard to access, it's flooded, there's too many potholes. You know, the overgrown part of it, where the road grows in on both sides, the guys, like now, this time of year, they'll go down and trim both sides. You know, but.
People do use access.
They do
you know,
use it,
Kayaks.
you know, kayaks.
Paddle boards.
duck hunters.
Yeah, guys start during duck season, you know, and then trying, if you think about it, trying to trailer a
people
boat down there.
Right.
You know, it's hard enough with a vehicle, let alone with a boat and a trailer.
Yeah, it's hard with a truck to go there.
You know, it's difficult, you know, and public safety wise, if we had to go down for a rescue or you needed the fire department to go, you know, it's pretty bad.
It's so bad, I haven't been down there.
Yeah.
It's even dangerous to walk, so it's a liability.
We'll see if we can get, Bay Constable Downs to maybe get some drone footage of it, and we'll get it over to you guys.
And then we'll
in
just
the
send you an
next
aerial shot
couple
so you
days.
could see it. It'd be hard to tell
Just
how
what it
bad
is.
it
It's a
is, but
start.
you'll be able to get the,
And he can do that.
Okay, so you've got, on this project, you got a couple of things that you got to check on anyway. You gotta check with Charlie on the operator, the millings,
sure.
do the drone footage, and then I think what we'll do is we'll set another conversation day up to review all the above, and then we could air out whatever the concerns
Yeah, we
are.
could send you
Other than the
everything.
millings being added, there's nothing that has been changed in the 16 years I've been on the board. We either had Billy Masterson go down there, or a private contractor, or our marine maintenance guys go down there and facilitate, you know,
grading it.
grading it.
We
We
did
put-
pile a couple of loads of sand
We
down there. a
put
few times.
multiple loads of sand down there and rocks from
Yeah.
the mine, that
Yeah.
had extra rocks to fill in the holes. And as far as the drainage pipe, that's been there for probably 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
And without that being maintained, all you're gonna do is create a problem when the road floods, especially when it's fresh water and the mosquito larvae hatch.
Yeah.
But when you have the drain there and the salt water gets to, go back and forth, it keeps it more of a natural environment where, the grasses thrive and the ecosystem that is currently there thrives. And I can attest to what Alex did over on Dune Road. A lot of people thought it was going to ruin the wetlands over there. And in reality, it's actually enhanced some of the wetlands by raising the road. I don't know how it has done this, but I've actually seen the wetlands on the south side of Dune Road that maybe the water stays there longer because it's trapped with the raising of the road.
Right.
But that was only a couple inches. So it really didn't have this really negative effect that a lot of people thought it was going to have. So-
How much time you think you're gonna need?
I agree
that
with you
grade?
on that, Ed.
For the road grader?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know. I'd have
I mean,
to,
you gotta get it for the week.
for the week, sure.
Conscience Point,
So there's other areas
Yes,
perhaps, if it's gonna
Conscience.
be,
Well, yeah, I mean, if
Fort Pond.
if we could definitely use it elsewhere, we will.
It makes
The only
for a
thing we'd
nice-
have to do is schedule it in order to get it from spot to spot.
Yeah, you can't.
You know, it's not,
Road, you have to-
right.
right, exactly.
Yeah, it needs to be trailered and
I mean, if
whatnot.
there's other roads that have to be done as well, other areas that have to be done as well, we should.
Yeah, maybe
probably
you could utilize it somewhere else,
Yeah.
as well.
make the best use out of it.
Sure.
Get the most bang for the buck.
Doing away.
So we still have, we're not resolved on this. We have to get
Yes.
more information,
Yes.
and then we'll put this on for
Yeah, the next time.
next work session agenda. So if you guys can get this information for the next work session agenda,
that's
then we
fine.
can continue on with that, would be good. Another concern that I have is that, and I don't know if you may be doing this already with Lisa, I just want to try and separate what we're doing on the trustee roads that are not leading to water. In
Okay.
terms of manpower and supplies and all this other stuff, because as you know, there's a separate budget for that on the restricted road side. And, there's still some question in terms of, whether they're our responsibility to be taken care of. And I think while we're in this transition, I think it's helpful for the board, especially since we know we're gonna be facing a lot of expenses on the general budgetary side, that the stuff that's on the road, whether it's patch or whatever it is, gets assigned to that code.
You might
Just wanna
want
make sure.
to separate, like the ones in other areas where we definitely own the roads. Separate,
Well-
actually, you want to separate it twice out.
So you mean take the restricted road and then make another sub out of that
Yeah.
restricted road?
Yeah, ones
There
where
are
we
deeded
have the
roads.
deeds for.
Right.
What we
Roads
do
that are
It would come out of restricted roads, period, but then have a sub out of that. I think we're gonna have to look at this on the financing end, especially since we're talking about 400,000, whatever it is. But getting a couple of trucks, get a barge, do the electric, start adding this stuff all up, right? Put it on a conveyor belt, and then get to the end and go, holy mackerel, really? I came for a couple things, what happened?
Right.
Right? That's what's gonna happen to this board fast. And
Yeah.
it's all stuff that is all necessary for public safety, and like you said, maintaining trustee properties and assets for everybody to enjoy.
Well, yeah, once you fix it, then you gotta, in order to keep it that way, you gotta maintain it.
If you build it, they will
It's,
come.
Well, yeah.
You know,
Well, it sure beats snow fence and crime scene tape,
yes.
Yeah.
right?
If you have a list of the roads that are already deeded trustee, because right now we have a list of about 80 roads, give or take. And when I say roads, they're not necessarily a roadway that you'd think you would drive a car on, but
It's a path.
it's a road, it's a pathway.
It's an access.
So, week in and week out, between the SOSs for the potholes and everything so forth, east, and the ones that are close centrally located in the town, 90% of them don't lead to water. They're an actual physical roadway,
Well-
whether it's paved or dirt or anything like
That's where
that.
it seems
So-
like a lot of the.
Well,
so that's where the main portion of their time filling potholes, like
That's what
when we
we're
get the
trying to figure out.
perma,
That's-
when we get perma patch, we borrow a hot box from Highway.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing, they're filling potholes. It's,
We need to
you know,
break out of that, because we're not
Well-
there's no recurring revenue for
Yeah, I got it.
staying ahead
Sure.
of that, and that's going to ultimately be very problematic for the trustee board. It's gonna hinder our ability to do other things.
I mean,
that
to
are clearly part of the trust.
properly maintain those roads, we need a double of the staffing that we have.
Right,
You would have to assign
We
guys.
realize that.
And it
but we
would
need this
be-
in- We need this information.
Oh, yeah, no, no.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Go
that-
talk
yeah.
to next
Right, yeah, no,
door.
no, I agree, but I meant
Yeah.
to physically
Yeah.
do
Oh, yeah.
And
what
also
the
for our-
public would like
when we
done
go
would
get our
be
tax
a-
line, we need to know how much we,
Right.
Right.
we have to do.
Right, because you're talking about a lot of inhabitants on these roads now that are paying a substantial amount of tax to the general fund. And, you know, you guys know, a couple of the trucks went down in the blizzard, right? You had one stuck out east with a
Oh,
transmission
yeah,
problem. And
yeah.
then you got another one, I don't know, we're still waiting for a computer for an F-250 or something.
That's Plover vehicle, yeah.
Right, so, whatever, I mean, there's a lot of wear and tear, you had some plow parts broken.
Oh, yeah.
So we're doing what we can in the interest of public safety, but at the end of the day, we're burning out all our equipment 10 times faster than we would be. And we're not even, you know, it should be in a more sustainable fashion, because it's still debatable whether we even own these
Yeah,
roads, right?
We're doing temporary, I've been on the road review committee since I've been on this board. What we're trying to do is patch broken, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't work.
Right.
I've been out east, I've been in Hampton Bays, I've been every place where there's a trustee road. It has been paved, some of it prior to me being on the board, some of it since I've been on the board. And all of these roads are just breaking down all over. So we can never realistically keep ahead
And
of the problem.
repaving a roadway is very expensive.
We
You know,
have
we
to-
did that small portion on Widow Gavitt's, remember?
Yes.
I think it was like it was over 30 grand, and it's really not that much, if you think about it. It's only like a little piece
Unless you take
of the
it,
roadway.
unless you
know?
take it down and do the proper prep work,
Yeah.
it's a waste of
Yeah, I
time.
mean, all we're doing is putting Band-Aids on it. and
I know,
It
and
keeps
it-
getting worse and worse, and that's,
And it's very costly, so we need to like get a better accounting, so as Bill was saying, when we have conversations, because some of the stuff I don't think's in the purview of trustees, marine maintenance, if it's not part of the trust properties,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not.
yeah.
But yet we're burning out, you know,
Our
if it
equipment.
was your family trust and we were spending it, I don't think you'd be happy. So we need to lock this stuff down.
Sure.
Trustee Warner addressed the brush jetties. I mean, that's important. Brush jetties only
Yeah.
work if they're maintained, so whatever
Yeah.
you guys can do. You know, we did that quick dredge at Carter Creek. We don't want to lose that,
No, we'll get it.
right? And I think Dave's also has got one that maybe he doesn't, you know.
Okay.
Whatever. Mr. McChesney has some piles that
Yeah.
I think that you could use. Yeah, so whatever we can do to stay ahead of that, please let us know. All right, is there anything else that we have further? Because we're going to have to rehab this conversation at the next work session as we get more. Mr. Parrish?
I was just curious as to, who sets the priorities
As far as?
as far as the maintenance, marine maintenance?
when you
Well, when
say,
you say priority, what do you mean
What gets
exactly?
done first?
well, that's
Well, that
that's
would
a
be-
hard, if I could speak
Yeah.
on that, the hardest thing that we find, it would be, as a board, if you guys could get together, say, once a week, however you do it, and then on Monday, somebody calls and says, hey, this is what we got, this is what we feel, we're getting a lot of pressure on from the public, if you guys could try to get, the problem is sometimes we get it from 5 different people, and it's hard for us to pick,
Then we
like
would-
if you, it'll happen is you'll call me and I'll say, oh, no problem, Bill, I could take care of that, that's an easy thing. Then Bill will call and he's got an easy thing, and then Eddie calls, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden we got 5 easy things, which now nothing's easy, and it's like, I'll say, well, you gotta send them here, I told Bill, and he'll say, well, Eddie called, and this is, so it's hard for us. So if you guys could prioritize on your end what means the most to you guys, give it to us, that would help us be able to say like, all right, let's see if we can,
Yeah,
if we get a day where we're not putting in buoys, if it's windy and we can't do that, then we can, all right, let's attack this project. The board really has that as their number one, that's what they're getting hit on, maybe we can get out there.
it's usually how we do it.
We try, yeah.
Weather permitting, what the scope of the work is, whether we have guys that are on vacation, staffing, and utilizing equipment. If I can get another guy, I could borrow somebody from Parks and Rec. We try to do it and facilitate it that way and figure out what's the best course of action for the week.
See, I don't mind.
Now that after we get the barge in, we'll try to get the barge in before the end of the week. So now our main priority right now, barring no disasters, is getting that in the water, getting the boom hung, testing all the systems out, making sure we're good to go. And then we load buoys and start in Eastport and work our way all the way through Shinnecock and then go north and go to Sag Harbor and work our way back, west towards Flanders and everything else. And it goes by the season too. Right now, we already started putting all the docks in, because it's starting to get nice out. A lot of people are starting to use the facility.
And then
You
it
know.
rains, or you get
And then
2
you get
days
a
of
heavy
rain,
duty
and
rain, then the potholes come, or you get something
and then that
else.
becomes, like we get, it seems like it just starts raining and the SOSs come in about the potholes.
I think we
You
need
know, you get
better-
a storm, there's trees down blocking a roadway, then that becomes priority,
Right, but
because,
right, I think what the board has to do, and it's going to involve the broader conversation with the highway department, and I think the town board is on these other trustee,
yeah,
quote-unquote trustee roads. May or may not be, depending, there's got to be a better plan, a more sustainable plan, because you haven't got the manpower, our equipment is stressed, and it's questionable, because they don't lead to water. So I think what we need to do is there may be, that call needs to go to something else, as you guys are picking up dead deer.
Oh, yeah.
And doing all types of stuff, you know
But
what I mean?
and I didn't want, I with trustee Parrish's, to prioritize, we will do anything we can. Our phones are on, as you guys know, 24 hours a day. What screws us up a lot, and I'm not gonna blame, Ann will call and say, we're gonna open Mecox on Wednesday. And then we get all set up, extra bay constables, extra maintenance, and then Chesterfield tells her, yeah, it's not gonna be Wednesday, it's gonna be Thursday. But they don't tell her that till Tuesday night. And then I'm screaming at her, well, we got everybody, we made this, but now Thursday might be an issue, so.
yeah, because
it's-
people might not be available,
It's
you know,
tough, but we try, anything, and if it's a situation where if it's a tree down on a road, we're gonna do whatever, we're gonna do that.
Well,
But we're also only, we're 4 guys now.
right.
And
Listen, it's Mother Nature.
and it's
Things,
it's tough.
You know,
There's
things
nothing
happen.
things are gonna
easy.
happen
You
with
know?
Mother Nature.
Sure.
Listen, we all, even in the law enforcement, you don't know where there's gonna be an accident, a fire, whatever.
Oh,
It
yeah.
happens like
Yeah.
that,
It
and
always
it all
happens at
changes.
the worst time. But
Yeah.
anytime anybody needs anything, a wish list that you guys on Monday morning would be great.
You know, we
then-
keep a running list, anybody that calls, because Billy calls Scott, Eddie, and, and we keep a list, the guys have a list, and all they do is backfill the list on days when, weather permitting, they can't do certain things, and moving forward, it's gonna be buoys and nav aids is gonna be our main priority as soon as this barge is in the water.
Which I think the board realizes that.
Yeah, and then as soon as, and if it's a day where we can't sail for some reason because of weather, then we're gonna fit everything else in between.
Right.
And they've been
You know, they
working
do a
over- they come in and
fantastic
work
job. They
overtime.
come on their days off, they stay late.
You have
You
an
know.
ongoing list right now?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
sits
Yeah.
really on Ryan's desk in the maintenance,
yep.
and then
And
daily
we go
add to
out,
it.
we did all the alewife drains already. We went to Ligony Creek and, we went all over the place, North Sea. And they know season coming, the aerators will be going on in 2 weeks at Silverbrook, Lake Agawam. We do have a running list of what they know that needs to be done.
You have a monthly list.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt,
right,
sure,
that-
yep.
Where things are,
Uh-huh.
like.
Yeah, we're
this
like a
is what
month
has
in
to
advance,
happen, yeah.
and then all we do is just plug and play everything that needs to
I
be
would say,
done.
share that with the board, right?
I was gonna suggest that.
Yeah,
You
share-
can
Yeah,
send
yeah,
us
I mean,
the monthly
you
list
get
ahead of
you get
time.
my weekly report
Yeah,
every
that's,
week?
You're
You're on that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
On the, yeah.
That's what you've done, but if you can send to us what.
Oh, yeah, what we got
plans.
pending, sure, I'd let you know.
Share that.
Yeah,
Uh,
and if you have everything, just call,
I'm listed on the sheet as a liaison. To the maintenance department, and then we'll talk amongst ourselves, but I really think having these meetings at work session is very helpful. So I think we should do this more often. I think it's good for the board. I think it's good for the public. I think it's gonna help us be more productive. I think it's gonna be a better,
All right.
better outcome.
Sure.
Okay?
Ju- Just
Yeah.
before we wrap up, can I just ask, where do we stand with the vac truck?
we used it already.
done.
So
We did it,
It's all
yep.
done? Like all
Last week,
roads are done?
Highway gave us an operator and their big vac truck.
Okay.
And I sent 2 maintenance guys because they needed helpers for the hoses.
Great.
And we cleaned all the drains
Okay.
east on
Great.
Old Sag Harbor Road, Noyak Path, and Little Noyak Path. So right now, everything is cleaned out.
Okay, that's great. That's an important part of
Yep.
keeping it.
Normally, in
rains.
years past, you guys would have to hire an outside contractor,
guys go.
and you would have to pay for that, but Highway gave
What
us
if
their
it won't
back truck.
stay?
Huh?
Yeah, sit over there.
No, we're
We'll
done.
go.
Before you leave, I want to
Yeah.
thank you guys for
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
the
you.
duck
Yeah, you're
line program that
Oh.
we all run together. It's been greatly successful in the 16 years that I've been here. I've seen it evolve from basically nothing to a program that I'm really proud of saying that we're part of, and you guys are an intricate part of it, so thank you.
Thanks.
Well, we thank the
Same here,
board
thank
for
you.
their support,
you.
for when we need
Yeah.
stuff. You guys always,
We'll-
we might not always get along, but we get along.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Have a
You
good
got
night.
it. Yep.
Bye, Al.
Right.
Bye, Rich.
All right, let's,
Let's do it like
yeah, it's up next. We got the Lake Agawam Rain Garden
Come on up,
discussion.
Matt. James, can you put that up on the screen, please?
Sure, sure.
Also, can you stamp one in?
Yep.
Please. Basically, Matt came to discuss Lake Agawam at the south end. We put a rain garden in there about 12, 13 years ago, Ed.
We did a whole entire bulkhead.
Yes.
And a rain garden, plantings, and it was very successful. And then we had, a couple, Irene and Hurricane Sandy, which flooded it, and most of the plants that were there were not salt tolerant from the flooding of the ocean, but the ones that are left have flourished.
We
pretty good.
replanted it in Lake Agawam, Conservatives paid that, replanted
Yep.
it.
And
And
it's
this was basically, Plan B, the second part of that.
So it's really a continuation of
Yeah.
what
Yeah, of the
was
original.
done in
proposal.
2011 or
Yep.
2012. And it's to, I guess, really finish the plan. Because initially in 2008, when the schematics had been given to Fred, we had the rain gardens along the lake. There were 2 catwalks that were proposed, and then some rain gardens along that sidewalk, well, not sidewalk, but the raised concrete area between the parking. And it seems like in 2011 or 12 is when the work was done with the bulkhead, the catwalks, and the plantings up against the bulkhead. But now with the water quality grant program, I know James had submitted a application last week in order to get some money to continue the design of the remainder of the work there. So we had run the EPA spreadsheet tool for estimating the pollutant loading, and it looks like if we can implement everything that's shown on that plan, we might be able to save a 50% reduction in nitrogen, which is about 50 pounds a year, about 10 pounds a year of phosphorus, and about 2.2 tons of sediment. So if we can capture everything before it actually goes into the lake, it'd be a good plan.
And make a big difference on that end of the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're currently on, if you head east a little bit, on Gin Lane, that green infrastructure improvement, we're involved with that. So it would be almost a continuation of that.
That's right on the bend as you,
Yep.
if you're heading
On the
east.
bend and you start heading east. So it would be, this is a 2008 plan. We would probably update it to bring, some more modern ideas to it, to bring ideas like we're using east of there, so it'd be very similar. So it'd be kind of a continuous type design.
Like a porous pavement type of thing. to collect
Yeah,
the water.
if the porous pavement is fairly expensive, if we could do it without doing the porous pavement and capture everything.
Beforehand.
So the rain garden that was put in 11, up against the bulkhead, is relatively flat, and it's really just the planted area. What I think we need to do is reshape that so it's more of a depressed area, and then connect that to the area with the concrete panels, which would then be turned into a rain garden area, and have those interconnected with a bubbler type system, which is similar to what's being done on Gin Lane. That way, as the water fills up in one area, it can then cross over and head to the other area, and then just be contained
Back and
within all
forth.
those rain garden areas. We might have to have some sort of drainage leaching chambers that get added along the parking area, or it could be, you know, the porous paving.
So this is the first time I'm seeing this, and the first time I'm hearing, or one of the first times I'm hearing that it was applied for with water quality, for water quality funds. So going forward, I hope that we can discuss things before they're applied to for water quality funds. I hope that that will be remedied in the future. One thing I'm looking at here is, where are you proposing to capture sediments?
Well, the sediment,
Before,
so as everything flows through the site or into the site, the sediment capture would be within the rain garden area or within,
so
you
you're
know-
not doing anything, I forget the term that,
Like
it's
one of
a
those one of those like vortechnic type.
like a pit, basically,
Like a
but
pit.
it has a better.
Oh, it's not exactly a pit, but it's sort of like a pit. It's gonna be a depressed area,
Yes.
a swaled area. So it'll be, that's,
So the rain garden itself then is
rain
where
garden
you're
itself
capturing the
is
sediment?
where the sediment would get captured. If we do the porous pavers, what happens is the sediment then collects in there, and it's a maintenance issue where you have to go through and, with the vac truck and vacuum the porous pavers, because if you have like those concrete, you know, those little concrete chambers that gets filled with stone or whatever, as that gets clogged up with sediment, then it fails to work. So you just spent a ton of money for nothing unless you
Yeah, that's
run
what,
the
yeah, that's what, it's a
vacuum
lot of
truck.
maintenance, okay.
Right,
We're trying to stay away from heavy-duty maintenance.
right, because then, you know, I don't
There
think
is
you
a
have a
lot of
back truck, so then you have to have.
Well, I
the-
mean, you saw the conversation
Right,
before.
so then you
Right.
have to have the highway truck. So
Yeah.
it'd be better to be as low maintenance as possible.
Right,
I mean, utilize the rain for, you know, watering the plants.
Mhm.
The sedimentation and then the nutrients in it could fertilize the plants.
Right.
And then whatever is left over, if it needs to be cleaned out or maintained yearly or bi-yearly, it can be
Right.
done.
It's
easy.
likely to be every few years, you
Yeah.
might have to go in and just remove a little
I
bit.
mean,
Yeah, and
There
like-
is a lot
like-
of pavement here,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
Like
That's
Agawam
to my
Conservative has, it's gonna take over the maintenance of the rain garden right now. I presume they probably, most likely want to take over the rain garden in the middle too. And they want to be a joint venture with us on this, on the cost.
So they're gonna have we have paperwork now here for this?
No, we're just talking
Oh,
about
just
that.
talking. And do we have any budgetary information on, we don't, because we don't even have a final design plan.
well, we
No.
do not have a final design, but just so that we kind of had an idea of what we were talking about, we ran some budget numbers based on that plan right there, minus the, you know, the catwalks. And like James and I were talking earlier, you know, a lot of times we budget high because of the public bid process, and the last thing we want is to put a project out to bid, get the bid numbers in, and then they're higher than the estimated cost, and then you can't do the project unless you start cutting things back. So the budgetary number right now is 730,000. That's if like, we do porous pavers and the full build-out. So that was the budget number. We did have a budget number design-wise, which I think the water quality grant was a two-phase thing.
Yeah, I applied for it in a two-phase request. So the first phase is design, permitting, all that jazz before you actually do the construction, and then the second phase is construction. So while you're creating the plans, design, then that will determine what you're gonna be constructing. That's,
That's
you
the,
know, hopefully.
Yeah,
the end cost of the
and
project,
cost.
right?
And it's kind of hard to come up with a
Budget of
figure
what
now.
you get approved for, from the water quality committee, if they approve for it. And then you can work with that budget.
So similar to the previous discussion,
Thanks,
you know,
James.
construction
Yeah.
materials are in the same boat. You have issues where contractors can't even get a supplier to hold a price for more than 2 weeks on certain things. So it's really a tough time to try to
Do anything.
estimate these things and do anything, right?
Yeah, anything you want to do
And
now is.
everything is so much money,
Yeah.
especially municipality-wise. I mean, it's crazy.
And if you want to get a hamburger.
Yeah, the part what you're doing to the east looks really nice.
Yeah,
Right by it.
that's,
You can get by it.
yeah, that should be wrapped up I know that
You kind of
there's,
saved those old trees, but you walked around those trees, trimmed them.
yeah.
Well, I guess we'll keep boiling this
Yeah,
down.
because I know,
How far on that goes down to here on that project you're going? Does it meet,
It doesn't, I don't think it touches this project here, but it comes fairly far down.
3/4 of the way down the road.
Probably
the
3/4 of the-
Original
yeah.
proposal.
Right, and then, so as you wrap the corner, it doesn't turn the corner. On the southern end of that corner. It wraps the corner on the northern end where, Gin comes along and then
Yeah, that's
heads
straight
south. It goes down that way, maybe 3/4 of the way.
Do you
the
think
rest-
that,
Right.
yeah, do you think that one corner needs more protection, or?
Honestly,
I'm not
it's,
asking you, something you're not prepared to answer.
well,
but-
as you drive around, or walk around the lake, you see all these areas where anywhere where stormwater can run down the road and then just run into the lake, that's an issue.
Yeah.
So there's, on the western side, there's a lot of that, on the northwestern end, and probably in that southeastern corner, there might be, issues like that,
Yeah, where we have that boat ramp there,
right.
you might want to upgrade that boat ramp there, Ed,
Yeah, I
so the
mean,
water doesn't go in there.
well, I mean,
Although a boat
it's
ramp
gonna
is
go in,
tricky
it's
to-
gonna, yeah, because it's gotta be pitched to make it functional. I mean, the only thing you could do is put bluestone or something like that to make it totally
Yeah,
pervious.
you don't want to hump it, make it hump at the top, because
Yeah.
then somebody's trailer
Yeah, yeah.
catches it.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's gotta
a
be
tricky
pitched,
thing.
but only thing you can, maybe, even a small French drain at the top of it, but the groundwater is so high there, so that probably wouldn't even
Work.
It's probably just put like, 18 inches of bluestone there, and that would be
And it
a
would
good-
just be a matter of not allowing the stormwater as it's running, say, heading
from north to
south.
south, yeah.
Right, not to just funnel right in there, which you could do stuff like that without
Aim it towards
impacting the
another way.
ramp.
So we're working on the design of another project where there's similar sheet runoff. And what the term I was trying to remember was sediment forebays.
Okay,
So that's what they're using to reduce some of that stormwater, rainwater that's entering the water body. So I don't see that on here, but going forward, perhaps we can consider that.
in this particular case, it's a tricky situation because the amount of space that we have to work with, and,
Is
it's
Parking.
mostly parking. So a forebay would, it's really the first stop for the stormwater to dump the sediment in, and then then it continues on to something else. But here, it's kind of tricky because we only really have one chance to stop it. And what we want to do is basically the whole entire thing, the whole system being a forebay and the rest of the treatment. So we just want to be able to stop the stormwater from continuing on and keep it, and then let it, just percolate through.
Because South Main coming from the ocean is all pitched down.
Yeah.
The western part of this is pitched.
Everything's
And
going
everything
this
is
way.
pitched. So that launching ramp is the open area where a lot of the water, on a heavy rain, it literally runs down.
So we do have, paving within the parking area.
Somehow.
And if we could extend that a little bit further and do something with the grades of the asphalt.
Maybe.
So that it,
You only-
rather than allows it going and just
this is
shifts
there.
it over.
Yeah,
to
because
something to,
I'm looking, there's parking area here, but when you get east of here, going
It's like-
towards, you might be able to take this medium and just run it down here a little bit. I mean, it's not parking, it's just asphalt.
or we could just put a catch basin of some
Yeah.
sort and then pipe it to one of the
Hey, Ed,
rain
Rain
garden
garden, yeah.
areas.
Is there
you
something
think-
to do with that
do you
rain?
think we should put the boat ramp in this plan, or is it too late?
Is there a
I
better
mean,
plan?
I would keep the boat ramp there and make it,
Yeah, I mean, make, like you said.
Yeah, no.
Come up with a plan.
I don't
I
think
mean-
it's too late. I think you can do that during your design phase.
Right, maybe we need that.
it's a simple boat ramp, it's
Right.
just,
Yeah.
you
You
have.
just gotta redirect the water and put the stones down.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe we need to
Because
take
I
a
think
look
it's,
at it.
I think is this it right here, or is it
Yeah,
up here?
no, it's right there, Billy,
Yeah,
that
so
little,
it's, you only talk about another 50, 60 feet up.
yeah.
We should take a look and see if there's some better
Yeah.
better concept there to obviously keep the boat, maybe a better design or some
Pretty-
consideration
it's-
there.
It's pretty simple. It's a small boat with electric engines on it. It's not anything
Let's take a
big.
look at that. So maybe there's some better
Okay.
concept there.
Mhm.
Anybody else? Anything else? Because this is
Any questions?
going to be a work in progress here for a while.
So it's a work in progress. I think the first step would be, we'll see what happens with
See what
the
happens.
grant.
Yeah.
And then if the grant, if you get granted the entire amount of money, that's awesome. If it's, we'll work with whatever you
Yeah.
get.
We have budgeted for maintenance on this. I think it was anywhere from $17,000 to $20,000 a year. We hired a handicap maintenance crew from up west to come out here, and they did a nice job. So there is money that we have budgeted historically for the maintenance of this.
Okay.
So maybe we could work with that on a longer term, paying a little bit of our share over 4 or 5 years, to make the plan really, take it up a notch.
Okay.
And with the conservative taking over, it's not costing us anything.
Well,
Like that belong conservancy.
the big cost that I see for us to maintain, moving forward, is the wooden guardrails that
Yeah.
are there.
Right.
That we had 8x8 non-treated lumber, and they didn't last 10 years. So we have to figure out a better product to put in this area that, is,
We were talking about the Green Heart, but it's awfully
that's cutting
expensive.
down,
and-
that's cutting down the rainforest.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when George Mutu was the town engineer, and there's the whole discussion of,
Yes.
What was that?
that was years ago, and it was the discussion of not using treated
Yeah.
and taking tropical hardwood from some other country and laying,
There are so
Depleting the
many more.
rainforest.
right, depleting the rainforest and, not in my backyard type situation.
There's so many more options now, though, if a little research is done, particularly with reusing
Right.
things, so.
And especially something like
Technology
that.
now and processes is different, yeah.
Right, it's tricky with the heavy marine construction that
Right.
we are involved with.
This is more of an ornamental
that is something
aspect
that's
to it.
different. and-
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think this is something we could put our heads in and come up with a product that we could use here and maybe put it forth on some of our other projects.
Recycled bottles or something.
That's the
possible.
recycle.
Yeah.
You
I
can
know.
make a recycled
it's
glass
possible.
parking lot. They
Exactly.
have that over in Matatuck.
Yep.
When we went on a field trip,
Would save these, I guess. You guys stop at McDonald's on that field trip too?
no, we was in the budget.
Okay,
We saved those.
so, yeah, we'll just wait and see what happens.
Welcome to the Board of Trustees. We'll wait and see.
Well, it's
No,
the same
we're-
with the town project.
We're not waiting, we're moving forward, having a
Yeah.
discussion.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're gonna
actually,
wait and see what the
Yeah.
committee says.
That's the next step.
Yeah, we
Right,
gotta wait and see what the committee says.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
we'll just go from there.
Right.
As long as we have
See
the
what they
board
say.
support, it's easier.
Okay,
This has been a problem child for
Long time.
100 years.
See what happens.
well,
So we're
I
gonna-
know that there's a lot of work going on around the lake
Yes.
to try
Yeah.
to,
Oh, and in the lake, there's a
do
lot of work
this.
going on.
Right, so, it's good to just keep going.
This lake's got a lot of attention.
We all supported on this, and you're supporting it? Ed?
Yes, Billy. I am 100%.
Let's keep working on it.
Okay,
I need to
keep
go
working.
down there with you and
Okay.
get a little more information.
Okay.
but,
okay,
like
thank
what-
you
All right.
guys.
All right.
and,
Thanks for
be
coming
well.
down.
Take care.
Yes,
Supposed to
thank you.
but I couldn't find it.
No,
Okay, Trustee Pell, you have an Osprey. I'm sorry.
Yes, the next one is Osprey program. Joe, you want to come up, please?
Morning, Joe.
Morning there. Special Counsel Joseph.
This is going off our last discussion about, excuse me. Oops. When we were talking about the cost of getting Osprey poles, and Ed said he wasn't really in favor of paying a subcontractor to go cut those poles down. And I also had people mention that they wanted to sponsor a Osprey pole in order for the trustees to do this. I spoke to Joe about it, and he did some research, and if we adopted this plan, that way we could say if I wanted, myself personally wanted to sponsor a pole, we could go partners with the trustees to sponsor a pole.
Yeah.
If you want to explain it better.
Yeah, no, it's basically, you guys would be setting up an Adopt an Osprey program. Basically, you'd be erecting poles on trustee property or where people have volunteered their property to have a pole. Naturally, we'd have to, make sure that we have the bases covered with liability and things like that. But you can defray the cost by having public participation, and they don't have to necessarily sponsor the entire thing, but the money can go into a budget line that you would establish for an Osprey program.
Well, but the thing about the Osprey program that I think's worked out very well is it's been used for these Eagle Scout projects, which I think has been good for the Boy Scout.
Absolutely.
It's a good
Good
project.
joint venture.
Right, it's a good project. So I think that, when you get the public participation, public input, such as with the Boy Scouts of America.
Yeah.
Eagle Scout projects, it's good.
And one of the things that we would want to do, I would think, is get a little placard or a sign or something where it acknowledges the participation of the Eagle Scout that did it, or
In memory of someone.
in memory of something, or a block association decides to sponsor one up in North Sea. It's
So give me, what's the mechanics? Give me the mechanics.
well, you have
Notice of public hearing to amend
notice
the
of
rules.
public hearing. I adopted a small section, what is it? It said 22 or 23?
22.
22. Neston area.
Just to allow the establishment of the program. And it's a simple enough,
It'd be similar to like the garbage pickup on Dune Road or wherever.
yeah.
People's name would be there. Instead of physically doing it, they could financially support it, which would lessen the burden on the board as far as, putting these poles up or acquiring them.
And the thing is too, is you might be able to get donations of trees. I have a friend who has a locust tree up in North Sea
Yeah.
that he wants to take down, and Bill is gonna take a look at it.
Take a look
It might
at it.
be, it might be something where the board could use it for an Osprey pole.
Then if he cuts it down, then. the crew
You
can
guys
work
would
it out.
haul it off of his property, but I mean, you can get donations. If you establish a program, you might be able to get poles off of a public bid list, from county or state, because
Yeah.
Niagara Mohawk uses
Right,
utility poles.
But when I say what's the mechanics,
Yeah.
I'm asking, okay, so are we, the board now, cutting trees down off people's property? Or are we
No.
just hauling, what are we doing?
No, I mean, you,
I think what this allows us to have a budget line, and if someone wants to sponsor, like Ann wants to sponsor Osprey pole, $500, he gives us the $500, helps the budget line, so when we have to go hire
Dom's Tree Service?
Dom's Tree Service to cut down those 7 trees,
We use that.
we can use that.
Yeah.
And then we can take one of those trees and put it up and put his plaque on it, sponsored by First Coastal.
Just like the benches in Agawam.
Yeah.
Same idea.
Okay.
So, couple
I'm in
questions.
for the first one.
That's why I picked your name.
Go, Aaron.
I'm gonna be the first one.
Couple questions.
Go ahead, Ann.
So I'm seeing Board of Trustees wish to encourage the public's participation in this program, and to that end will graciously accept donations of material, labor to construct the nest boxes for the Osprey poles, or cash to defray the cost of the program. So accepting donations of cash, where do we stand with that?
Probably be a
Is that
check.
permissible?
you can accept
Monetary
cash, you can
donation.
as long as you earmark it towards the budget line for the Osprey program, that's fine.
Has that been done previously?
The only
in
thing
any
I would say,
situation?
well, when you
Park
talk-
benches at Agawam.
Yeah.
People paid for them, and Fred Habermeyer overseen the program. I believe there are 4 of them there, and we had gotten placards made by the Parks Department.
Same
put
at
on
Willie's
to,
Pond, too.
Yep,
I mean,
so
Mark McBride, if you're worried, that's really
there is a
his,
mechanism. yeah.
his deal. Mark McRedmond can double check that for the board. I remember getting into this when we got involved with getting donations for feed for the birds when the ice blocked up the bay and the birds were dying from starvation, and the trustees were reaching out to the public and we were trying to save the birds, right? So I think it was a similar situation. But you got 2 brilliant minds here.
Quackers for the
Yeah.
quackers.
Not these guys aren't quackers. But that's what that was,
That's what it was.
crackers
No,
for the quackers.
I would maybe discuss
really?
that point with you in private on executive session.
Yeah.
I think internally we have to
No,
make
you
sure that.
have a situation where you can encourage the participation. It's certainly desirable to have the public supportive and on board with something like that. Public recognition is always a good thing. And in terms of the labor, I wasn't talking necessarily or suggesting that we're talking about them erecting the poles, because that's something where you want a professional, wrestling those poles into position.
Do it in-house.
But, to construct the box that would go on top of the pole or something, I mean, provided it's done according to specifications and everything, that's certainly something that could be encouraged, or even an Eagle Scout project, where they could maybe make 5 or 6 of them as a project for themselves.
Right.
Well, I think Trustee Welker had issues with the word cash being used as opposed to.
Certainly could amend it.
Monetary donations.
Monetary donation is fine.
Yeah.
It's the earmarking of that, and just to make sure that we're very clear.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And, I don't know what the process for that is, but I just want to make sure that.
Yeah, I
because
mean, if
it's
somebody wants to give 500 for a
problematic.
pole, we can call it cash or a monetary donation, but it's still $500 for a utility pole.
Right, and we're paying for comptroller services. So
Yes.
we can make sure all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed, of course.
Would go
Yeah.
through our account. and
Absolutely.
have proper
Yeah.
channels. Yeah, I think this is a much better idea than sending Dom's tree service for $4,000.
Well, we could pay Dom's Tree Service
Yes.
to go chop it down.
Yeah, but we would have money that we
Yeah.
were not raising from parking fees, ramp fees, that we could possibly put back into our infrastructure. This
Yeah, I
is-
mean, it envisions a dedicated fund, it envisions a dedicated budget line for the project.
Right, I think they're great Eagle Scout projects, from what I've seen. So, I mean, whenever you're involved in the public. it's
Yeah.
good.
So if the board wishes, I'll make the edit to
Yes.
reflect monetary donation.
What do you think, board?
All for it?
I think it's something that, moving forward, would be it is a good program, and we would just enhance it towards the future.
Okay,
All right,
I'll submit it in time so that the resolution can be put onto the next agenda.
thank you.
I thought you said public hearing.
Well, but I have to put the language in for the notice of
Okay.
public
Yeah,
hearing.
It's gonna be a public hearing.
Okay.
Yes. Thanks, Joe.
No problem. You guys are going, what, executive at 11?
We were, I think. Are we going executive? I'm not no.
It's up to you guys.
well, okay, so-
What happened at 11?
No.
No.
No, so I have time to run to the bank, so I can
Yeah, we may
pay
be
the
up,
IRS.
we may be up in the air with that, but
Yeah, so I'll be back in time.
we may be up in the air with that.
You want to text Joe and let him know what time? Or-
I should be back. I just got to go up to the credit union. and-
Yeah.
All right,
Post
Joe.
office.
And obviously, we're still up in the air here, so.
All right.
You've got Scallop Pond Road grading project discussion on here.
We
Trustee
just did, we already did
You good with that?
Yeah. Did that when they were here.
Okay, so the next up is Trustee Warner with the 2022 priority dredge list. I think we're up against a deadline.
Well, the county asks us every year to come up with a priority dredge list, and this will be for the 22, season going into the 23 season. We have submitted some requests already initially for North Sea Harbor, which the county has sent their survey crew out to look at the harbor and the status of the shoaling that's going on there, with help of the Bay Constables providing us the report. So as of right now, it looks like North Sea Harbor is priority 1 for our dredge list for the spring. I see there's a couple other areas on here, Fresh Pond in North Sea, which was done in the fall. We could ask for it, but I don't foresee that happening because there's not a permit that allows the county to do the dredging in the spring any longer. So that would be the county asking for an amendment to their dredging permit for Fresh Pond to include the spring, and that's a process, as we know. Woolly Pond, we have submitted documentation from the Bay Constables again on the narrowing and shoaling of the pond. It's an area that needs to be dredged. If it could happen this spring, it would be wonderful, but after conversations with the county, I think they're already have their selected their couple dredging projects for the spring. So I recommend putting the Fresh Pond in North Sea, Woolly Pond for the fall dredging. Sabonic Inlet and Cold Springs were done last year. I don't know what the status of them are, but I do know Red Creek Pond is going to be needing a dredging this coming fall, so I would like to add that.
So let's
one.
add Red Creek Pond.
Red Creek.
And that's
Okay.
a definite yes. The other two, Sabonic and Cold Springs,
We have to
I
have to
don't
look
have
at
an
it.
update on.
Yeah. I haven't been out at so I can't tell.
So,
Want me to add Red Creek
Yeah.
yes,
before Savonic and Cold Spring?
it's gonna need it, yes.
I mean-
And, just make sure you get the Bay Constables to do the evaluation.
Yes.
For all of these, I think North Sea and Woolly Pond I have, but the other four, the other three.
And one of the, Roy Yeager has contacted me about the Sylvan and Royal Canals up in Flanders. He asked them to be evaluated and to possibly put on the dredge priority list. I haven't been there this year, or the Bay Constables haven't been there this year to evaluate it, so we should probably have them look at those.
You want to put them on this list?
Yeah, I would.
Let's put them on.
Because they're,
Sylvan and Royal?
yes,
Okay, put Sylvan and Royal on.
because we have acquired the extra deposition site at Fantasy
Fantasy
Drive,
Drive.
so we have the ability to put both of those dredge spoils on
Go with
the
this?
properties.
Okay.
As far as the other places in my area, Far and Middle Pond, they were done last year, and they're, hopefully will be a couple years before they need to be done again. The only one that's in my area and has been a hot button is Fort Pond, with the county looking at that for the college. But as of right now, they do not have a permit, they do not have a deposition site, so it's one of those areas, if we put it on there, it's just gonna
No,
be a
no.
placeholder, and that's.
Yeah, no. Fort Pond, I've been going to meetings for the last,
20 years.
I've been going to meetings for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
And I went to 14 years.
He went before, then I grabbed the baton. No. So I've been going to those meetings, so that's ongoing, so that's already,
Hey, Ed, between,
You don't have to put that-
when if we break for lunch, can you give Scott Haley a call?
I have a Friday, I have a call into him, I'm still waiting for a call
Maybe
back.
just
though.
call him again, because Friday was, no one worked Friday.
I mean Thursday, because Good Friday we get off, yes.
Yeah, just to get an update on North Sea, because we're getting like tremendous
It,
amount of
it,
calls.
it will be as soon as they have to have a meeting with the Army Corps and the DEC and select the date. That was the last conversation.
Maybe they found a date.
Well, I will ask him.
yeah, because my phone's blowing up about North Sea,
Yeah.
and it's really bad. So if he can give us a date, that would
Yep.
be helpful. But I understand.
Once a date is established, how long is the work down there?
Last
At
time, it was-
Mercy.
James.
I mean,
how-
it's
James,
dependent.
Week, I think it was a full week.
You were there?
Okay.
Yeah, James
More,
was,
maybe.
James was there the whole time, overseeing the dredging. The problem this year is that the dredging will be more extensive than last year, because the amount of material that has filled in inside is subsequently more than has been in many years. And we also want to have them dredge the outer side going into Peconic, because that seems to be the real bad, navigational area.
Why do you think that's happened? Because I don't recall that happening on the inside. Why do you think that's happening on the inside like it is?
Because the amount of material that has been blown into the system from northeasters. Some people actually question the putting of the material west by Holmes's Hill as a problem filling in. And most of the storms that I've seen, the material from Holmes's Hill west usually goes to the northwest towards Robbins Island. So
Look at all that sand.
I'm not a coastal geologist, but I believe Aaron Petrunian is here, and he's been looking at this project for the town and with the county. Can you give us a little bit of, would you like to come forward and give us a little bit of quick overview of what's going on here?
Happy to do so. Thank you, Trustee Warner. This has been a very successful project with all the various town entities cooperating with the county, and Ed, want to thank you for your leadership as well as the board's participation in that. So actually, what has occurred in the last 2 years, or in the last year actually, was that the material that was dredged out and placed on the western shore actually got physically picked up and moved about 1,500 feet farther west. So it took it away from the proximity to the inlet, because there was a dredging, I think, 2 years ago, where the material was only placed about 500 feet from the inlet, and that really went right back in. So by moving it farther west, it takes it out of that return current that would suck it back into the inlet. I think the real problem now is The excess material on the east side is, you know, the beach there is about 7 feet higher than normal. The normal beach elevation is like 2.5 or 3 feet, and the top of that sand pile is about 10 feet. So that material is being eroded and drawn into the channel. And that's because there was an imbalance in the placement over the last decade or so. But that, you know, hopefully we can continue to move the material to the west for the next few rounds, and that will rebalance the system.
Interesting, though, that even though the dredge spoil went to the west, it's the east side that, that it's sloughing into the inlet with. And I understand the wind and current dynamics, but it's interesting that although additional material was not put there, that's what is filling in the
Well,
inlet.
but there, for about the last 10 years, there's been a 88,000 cubic yard imbalance of material being placed to the east, which built up a giant stockpile, and that's what's being eroded. So there's just an excess of material there that is available to be eroded into the channel.
Yeah, and it literally becomes liquid on a northeaster.
Oh, yeah.
There's no stone, there's no, it's all very fine.
Well, there's a lot of stone in there, but, you know, those short period waves, those are 3.5-second waves, they just liquefy it.
Put it
But
right
the
in a slurry.
material that they're looking to take on
Close to
the
the
outside of North Sea, further out on that bar, is all rock and cobble.
Yeah.
That's perfect material to put down at North Sea Beach, because it will stay there.
Very stable. Yeah, yeah, it'd be terrific, and again, you know, it's been a pleasure for me to work with everybody and really achieve something important over there.
So a couple more questions. So is it necessary for additional support to be sent to the county on behalf of North Sea residents? That was a question that was asked the other day on the CAC meeting. Or do you think we have enough information?
2 months ago, when we sent all the letters that we had acquired in our office, the county said that they had enough backup documentation
Okay.
for the project, and that's why they sent their dredge crew down there, and they've done everything other than doing the dredging.
Right.
So.
Okay.
that's
They
good.
filed their permit applications, which is Trustee Warner indicated are in process.
Yep.
Yes, so
Okay.
everything
Yep.
is moving in the direction of having it dredged.
Yeah.
Question asked on behalf of the public. Additional question asked on behalf of the public. People are concerned because they can't go to the west at the end of North Sea Road any longer due to the conservation project that's being undertaken. They're concerned about the 4x4s turning to the right and that limited amount of beach along there, especially in front of the bulkhead, especially within a fairly large range on either side of high tide.
It's the state-owned underwater land, so
Yeah.
you'd have to take that up with the New York State DEC.
Yeah, because that land was underwater a year ago, and now it's beach.
Right, but there's excess 4x4 traffic there now because you can't go
Right.
left.
So
So
So what are you asking for, Aaron?
just any thoughts or any,
I don't know, you know, definitely in season, it's gonna be a public safety issue.
Right.
'Cause there's a lot of people, especially families, that use that beach.
right, and now,
So.
yeah,
So, but that's not something that I think,
It's out of our
it's
jurisdiction.
out of our,
Yeah.
it's out of
Yeah,
this
yeah,
board's,
no,
I think it's.
I know.
The only thing what saves them is that you need a freeholder sticker to get down there.
To use the ramp.
Yeah, once you go up to 60 feet, or what, how wide is that road, Ed? 50 feet?
Yeah, 50 feet.
50
Yeah.
feet, you go to the right, you don't need a sticker, but to get there, you need a sticker.
Right, yeah. I don't know, that's gonna be, we're gonna see what happens this spring when, you know, porgy season starts.
Yeah.
How crazy it gets.
yeah,
It's gotten pretty crazy, huh?
Last year was nuts.
yeah.
The people can walk to the left.
Yeah.
They just have to carry, you know,
The
the
gear.
towels and umbrellas and.
Well, I think that should be up to the town and the
Yeah, the
town
town has
highway
to
to
enforce
provide
it.
parking on that roadway so that people can access it by foot. If people don't want, you know, people driving, or the state decides, because I've never really seen the state control beach driving on the Peconic side.
No,
It's been, you know,
no,
You
it's
never
always
had
been
to.
local jurisdiction.
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a conversation somebody should have with the town board and the liaison to the North Sea area.
That
Right.
sounds like the right place to start.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, Aaron.
Trustee priority dredging list. We have this set. James, you got,
Yeah, I got the revisions on there.
what do you got, 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 8 items?
So just going back for one moment to spring, was the drone footage that was submitted by the Bay Constables for Woolly Pond passed on to the county?
I thought we were going to pass it on when we gave the priority dredge list from,
It could go now.
yeah.
We sent, I think, all those other letters.
When we, you know, that wasn't on the radar back when I had asked the county to do our priority dredge list for the spring. Subsequently, the Bay Constables have done the drone and the site visit, so I was gonna include that with the with the Woolly Pond, you know, ask, like we would include all the other ones.
Yeah, we need.
Is that the backup
Drone
doc?
footage is the, you know, it's a priority, but we need soundings too. If they-
You know,
if
yeah.
the Bay Constables can write up
A site
a
visit.
summary site visit
Yeah.
of shoaling areas specifically, that would go a long way with what we submit.
Willie also got a lot of
to
public
site
Can you put Willie's
letters,
Pond
right?
up there, please?
Willie got a lot of public letters.
They did, but I think it's important to remember that at Woolly Pond, with Conscience Point, their gas stock being in question as to, I think both RFPs that were submitted there, nobody took them up. So Woolly Pond is one of the only marinas that has gas on that stretch of the Peconic. Ceto uses that, the Bay Constable use that inlet, DEC uses that inlet, and it's heavily shoaled, in addition to the residents of that area. It's heavily shoaled, so I'm just, you know.
So we can include that, James, we can include that commentary that Trustee Welker brought up, along with the drone footage. That way they, you know, more properly understand the essence of the priority. Is that fair? Okay. So we're pretty set. We'll add that. We'll add the drone footage. If they can do soundings, that will be also helpful. But I think we're pretty set with, because we are up against a deadline in giving them the list,
Yes.
right? But you guys are all good?
Yes,
All right.
thank you. Thanks, James.
Okay. Waterfowl hunting location permit application for determination.
Hello.
Hello.
Linnea.
Hey, Linnea.
Yes.
Just gonna grab my bucket. Where are my folders? Alrighty, so first up, we have Shane Carter. Originally, Mr. Carter, there was no response. Last meeting, you guys, we did speak about calling them and reaching out. I don't know.
I spoke to
You
Mr.
spoke to
Carter.
Mr. Carter?
Yeah. He was in the hospital when I spoke to him.
Okay.
So I would recommend that we do not take Mr. Carter's spot from him. He was very ill, and he's working on getting himself out of the hospital. So I would suggest that we do not take his spot, and we work with him through this situation. You know, note the file, and
Thank you for reaching out to him.
yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to take
No.
a spot away from a guy who's in
No,
the hospital.
stress doesn't help anybody
Okay.
heal.
So that's my recommendation to the board,
Okay.
based on my conversation with Mr. Carter.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Alrighty.
So we're going to keep, Mr. Carter's going to keep his.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to Mr. Joseph Kirby. He was a no response as well, actually, and then you ended up speaking to Mr. Kirby, correct? We did have a response from him, a letter of response. It was just
There was a little confusion.
little confusion, overlooked. If you'd like, I could read his letter to you guys.
Yeah,
You'd like
could
to,
you
but
just-
he did respond.
Also say the date of it.
Oh, the date of it? We received it February 18th.
Okay.
Okay. So he says, first of all, thank you for all the hard work you do for all of us. In regards to violation case number of 2022, I was notified that my blind was missing in the mill pond, blind number 164. Couldn't find it, thought was stable. Sorry, his handwriting's a little stolen. His handwriting's a little hard to read. I called and
friend.
Thank you. Do you mind reading it?
No,
Can you
not
read
at
it
all.
well? I'm sorry, I apologize.
In regards to violation case 2022, I was notified that my blind was missing in Mill Pond, number 164. I couldn't find it. I thought it was stolen. I called and a friend, Dan McKay, came to help. He called the Bay Constable, and with the aid of a drone, they found the blind in high Phragmites. It came loose in a big storm. It was returned to its right spot and grasped. Rich Franks told Don McKay that everything was good and we were ready to go. Don relayed this message to me. I thought we were good. Nothing else had to be done. We should have called for an inspection. I didn't realize we had to. I hope you can overlook this violation as I thought we were good to go. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Yours truly, Joe Kirby.
Thank you, Ann.
Sure.
So he did actually respond to us. It was just a
And the
miss.
blind was put in the proper location, and it
Yes.
was
Yes.
hunted, and
Yes, and
would
grassed.
technically conform to what we need.
He's usually very prompt.
Yes.
Yes. No,
It is his first NOV. So.
Okay.
yeah, and there's.
And it
some
really,
mis-
yeah, just some
so
miscommunication.
I would recommend that Mr. Kirby's waterfowl hunting location not be taken away.
Okay.
Go with
I'm
that.
good with that.
I'm good with that too, Ann.
Thanks, Linnea.
Of course, thank you for your help. Next up, we have Mr. Wesley Bennett. He is a permit holder for blind number 14 and number 15.
You have to do them separately.
Yes, so number 14. He did not give us a response. I do not, Mr. Parrish, you did talk about reaching out to Mr. Bennett. I don't know.
Yeah,
Your
I need to hold that for
Hold
the
it.
next, please.
It's on hold.
Okay,
They're both on hold.
Both, yes.
both on hold.
All three of them for that matter.
All three on hold.
All three. So Christopher J. Ott, number 24, also on hold, right?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Great, thanks, Linnea.
Thank you,
Of course.
Linnea.
Thank you, guys.
Put them back on for next work session.
Yes,
If you can give me copies of the
the
paperwork.
NOVs and their
please.
information, sure, of course.
All right. Let's get into general permit applications for determination. First is Denise Denazzi, 3 Shinnecock Road, East Quogue, Suffolk Environmental.
Yeah. I got it right.
Good morning.
Hey there.
How are you today?
I'm good. So I apologize, we were unable to attend the last work session where we were on. We had some staffing concerns and some people took ill, but we're all good now. I understand that there's a couple concerns regarding discrepancies as to what was originally permitted in permit number 9902 versus what is currently there. In the original permit, we were allowed 71 feet of in-place and in-kind replacement of a wood bulkhead and a 10 by 12 platform. It was an emergency permit after a nor'easter in 2010. What was actually built was a vinyl sheathed bulkhead with a 9 by 20 platform on top of it. As I understand, it was done in an effort to maintain consistency with either adjacent bulkheaded structures.
You do have a nice, he does have a nice buffer there.
Yes, so that's,
Property. I did go down there, and it is a very good buffer. I mean, when I first went down there, it was not consistent with what was permitted. That's why you're here. You know, you do have vinyl, you did use the proper material. You do have a nice buffer there. I think it's a good project at this point in time, based on the balances that you have going on there. I would not want to see that buffer disturbed. I'd want to see that buffer in place. You are, you know, clearly within the 10-foot zone, so that should not be an objection. And the 20-foot relative to the total amount of bulkhead there, I don't think is excess, and I think it's an approvable application.
It's similar to what the other two projects are on either side of it, because I was down there also looking, you know, around the area, so I've been there.
I appreciate you coming in to clean up the paperwork, because when I initially went down there, obviously it needed some cleaning, so I think you've done that.
absolutely.
Okay, so I'm good to move this forward if the board's good with it.
I'm good with it, Scott.
Okay,
Good.
Thank you very much, I appreciate your time.
Thanks for your wait.
next one I have is Philippe Maggio, 5 Quogue Street, Village of Quogue, DKR Shores. I see Gina is here.
Hi.
How are
Hello,
you?
Gina.
Hey, Gina.
Any
coffee.
You need coffee?
I was looking at Aram's coffee like, oh, I need coffee.
Okay. So you're proposing to install a 4x100 fixed dock seaward of mean high water line, right? Through flow open grate decking supported by 8 9-inch butt end piling shall have low profile rope railing. Lighting at the seaward end, all materials shall be untreated. To install a seasonal 3x20 with an aluminum ramp with a railing and a 6x20 float secured by a couple of 10-inch pilings. Float and ramp shall be removed seasonally and stored in an upland location.
Okay, that was the original proposal.
Hey, James, can you?
You changed it?
Yep. Please.
Want the
Yeah.
aerial or the
Upon
photographs?
discussion,
Either one, both.
Where's it, do we have the updated?
I can only pull one up.
yeah, you should.
What's that? What are you looking for?
That's the one that's in the top of the chart here.
James, do you have the new plan where I shortened it because there was a pier length?
I think so.
You know? That was the original. And then Billy had brought up the fact that there was a pier length limit in the area.
You need to.
So I revised
Is it in
the
corner?
plans.
Is this the revised plan?
Yeah,
Is the one you're talking about?
yes, that's the revised plan.
Is that it?
So,
That's not what's in the front of this here.
Should be the front of the smaller,
In the small one.
in the small folder.
so the last stated plan was, should be 12/23, but I did revise it
Oh,
for the
that's-
pier length limit on
that's what I just
October
read.
8th of
It is.
2021.
Is it in the plastic one over here?
I don't know.
It sticks in
The plans are in there, right? That's
No.
what you're looking for, is the plan?
No, but the cover sheet.
That should be it.
An updated cover sheet?
Yeah, this cover sheet is April 8th of last year, actually.
I think I sent it, but I will
All right,
resend.
so we're gonna need, there's
for you.
Zoom in
no,
on that a little
That's
bit,
fine.
James.
there's no, you need an updated cover because it's not
Okay.
Updated cover and updated plans.
correct.
Well, you have the plan.
You have the plans. So do we have the plans?
We have the plans. I have them up on the.
Oh, you have, but I mean,
They should be in
Is
there.
that it?
Look for either 10/8 or 12/23 dates.
1228.
Move it down.
Yeah, I know, it doesn't work.
Can't move-
Yep.
It's 4x80.
Yeah, so it's 4 by 89.4, and that extends,
4x75.
yeah, there's a 4 by 75 walk that's out of jurisdiction. It's an on-grade
Okay.
walk in the uplands, just because it gets kind of wet in there, and, but that's all been approved by the DEC. So just,
You have there just now, Scott.
hmm?
I think that's the same as what James has up there.
Yeah, I know, I'm looking at this file, it's just all not here. Okay.
and then at that point, approximately in the area of the high water mark, the catwalk would be raised, so it's elevated, supported by posts in the upland areas. And then when it hits water, 8-inch
Well, it's getting out
pilings.
to 18 inches, so that is appreciable. You're going out
The
to what, 18
decking would
inches?
be,
18 inches.
yeah, 1.5 feet roughly
I think that's good.
of water. So it ends at pier length limit 50
Just
feet
sandy
from
bottom.
the low water mark. The decking is through flow. And then at the seaward terminus, it would be probably steps at the end. I threw a ladder in there just in case they wanted to do a ladder instead, but it'll most likely be steps.
Right.
So at this point, it seems compliant
Right.
from what Billy had asked for, and the board was asking for as far as pier length limit. It shows appreciable depth, and it meets all Blue Book compliance as far as I'm aware, but I will get you the updated cover
Yeah, you need an
that
updated
reflects
cover.
these
Okay.
newer plans.
I'd say if you get the updated cover, it could
Sure, I can
advance,
email
because it is
to you
Blue Book compliant at that
later
point.
today.
So if we don't have it, James,
Correct.
so I would say advance it and hold it if we don't get the updated cover.
Gina, you did say there's gonna be lighting on the seaward end?
No, that was when it was longer.
The old plan.
Okay.
No lighting,
No lighting, that's
No.
good. That's fine with me.
No. All right?
so just update the cover.
Update the cover.
No problem. Do you want me to stay up here and,
You want to do your other one here?
yeah,
Is that okay, James?
Yeah.
Okay.
Up to you guys.
I'll be quick. 5 Club Court.
5 Club Court.
It's a basic in-place bulkhead reconstruction. By the time it's level, I always bank on it's gonna be 8 inches higher. I do have one quick question, besides this bulkhead is really, really bad shape and it needs to be, it's dangerous right now. The owner is having financial issues and she had approached me asking whether or not the piles that are existing, that are of course CCA and treated, but they're in really good shape, could remain. And that would be, I said, well, I'm not really sure because Blue Book compliance is all material has to be untreated. However, they're already there. They're still in really good shape and we could actually resheath behind the
We have in
current.
the past, right, Ed? We
Sure,
have
sure.
let that stay.
I mean, basically,
So-
you're asking to redeck and regirder, which is, you know.
Yeah, to just do the
which we have
bulkhead
done
sort
in
of
the
at a
past.
lad word placement, so like a resheath.
How's the height on the neighbors' bulkheads?
His is actually a little bit higher, on the west, and his actually goes out, I'm sorry, on the west. And his actually goes out a little bit further into the water than hers. The other side, the east, is the same height.
So the original structure has a permit for it.
Yes, the original
Yeah,
structure
that's-
was
Yeah.
That's key, that's key.
And you
Yeah.
wanted to raise it by how much?
about 8 inches by the time it actually, gets level.
Oh.
And she doesn't necessarily.
It's gonna match up to the neighbors?
Yes,
Okay.
Well, one of the neighbors is
One
going
of
to
the
match up.
one of the neighbors. So whatever that's the highest is, that one was really on the west. It'll match up to the height of the neighbor.
And that would be consistent with what we've done in the past.
And then she actually has a pretty considerable stone buffer there. I mean, I know you guys only asked for 10, but it's gonna end up being a lot more than that, like 20. It's a varying width right now, but it goes up to like 20 feet from the bulkhead, and that will be replenished and restored. And in that particular area on Mauritius Bay, she needs the stone.
Yeah.
The neighbors
For
have
sure.
stone.
Yeah, they all have stone through there. It's standard. So, would the board consider her letting the piles remain? If so, I would redo the cover, and the plan saying, piles to remain, bulkhead to be replaced, new whales to be untreated, all the other material untreated.
Well, any pilings that need to be replaced would have to be.
Have to be.
Correct.
Yeah, that should be in the
yeah.
wording in case.
I could do that.
With non-treated.
Right, and you're gonna have to and obviously reference the prior permit number.
Yep.
Because the fact that it's pre-existing non-conforming, I think is
And
important.
count how many old piles are on there.
I'll have to go through and look at them.
Yeah.
You have any idea how many of the
I
piles?
think they're all good, actually. I don't think any of them have to be replaced, but I can look at each one.
I think it was Billy Mack that was here last meeting complaining about, there was some like 10 or 12-year-old greenhearts that were falling apart.
Right, right.
Right?
And in efforts to protect the rainforest and, stop them cutting, I mean, if they're still good, obviously if they have to be replaced, they have to be untreated.
They gotta be
But at
compliant.
this point, the fact that these things have been there for, 30, 40 years, they're not leaching.
Right.
They're not a hazard.
They were permitted back then.
And they were permitted because obviously this bulkhead, was there. But I'll search all the old,
Okay,
permit numbers.
all right, so you know what to do, right?
Yes. And I don't know if you want to, I would like to advance it just because she's in super
Trustee
hurry
Parrish?
right now.
If we can get the information by,
Yeah, I'll get it to you right away.
James, you go with that?
I mean, it's quite a bit of information. What?
I can get you new plans and email them and a new cover, like right away,
Okay.
okay?
What's right away?
What's right away?
When do you need it?
Well, this wouldn't go on, it wouldn't go on for,
For the next meeting, the May meeting.
Yeah,
Which
I
would
could
be-
have it to you by today or tomorrow.
Yeah,
I
so
do
it-
my own drawing, I don't
Plenty
rely
of
on
time.
anybody else.
yeah, that's fine. We'll put it on for the
Right.
next,
That's fine, right, James?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That gives you time.
okay?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much. She'll be very happy. She's got a new grandbaby coming and she it's a danger.
Lose the
Thank
baby in the.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have
I'm
gotta
like,
go,
the baby's not gonna walk for a while.
I gotta go
but-
back, I gotta go back to my permits.
Thank you. I'll have it.
Michael Joseph Corbett, 21 Old Point Road, Village of Quogue, shoreline bulkheading. Kristen Trovich.
Morning, trustees.
Good
Good morning.
How are you?
How is everyone?
Good yourself.
Good, thank you.
Oh, Corbett. Okay, this project was actually approved a while back and renewed twice. There's now a new homeowner. It's 224 feet of existing bulkhead to be replaced, 2 6-foot returns, 4x5 cantilever platform, 3x12 ramp, 6x20 floating dock.
No increase in elevation?
No increase, even though the neighbor has a new bulkhead and is higher than his. He's leaving everything, which is why he wanted me to submit the original plan that we submitted back.
So.
Previous homeowner.
Did it elapse the renewal?
Yes, because he was not aware of this permit.
Okay.
He took care of Village, but didn't realize this. So when he contacted me, I'm doing this as a courtesy on his behalf since
And it's Blue Book compliant?
it's
and
Blue Book
he's
compliant.
following the rules?
Following the rules, that the buffer behind is going to be non-vegetative, no boardwalk,
It's
no
totally
walkway,
compliant project.
just grasses.
You mean vegetative?
Vegetative, sorry.
Because at
It's
present.
Monday, and. Thank you.
At present, it
Yes.
is turf right down to the bulkhead,
Right.
so this will be an improvement.
Absolutely an improvement. So I would say you can advance it.
Okay.
Okay.
Good project.
Okay.
Good
Thank you.
project.
He's super excited to
Me too.
start it.
I like when
He's-
people come to the board and follow the rules.
Okay, well,
And
thank you,
get the Blue
trustee.
Book compliance, and it helps the environment, it helps everything. So thank you for doing a good job.
Very welcome. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Here.
Hey, it's your turn. I thought you were designing your osprey pole there.
Yeah, a couple of the ones we put up are still around.
Thanks for your
Nine-
patience, Aaron.
My pleasure.
9 right-of-way Holden, 143 Shore Road, North Sea.
So this is a fixed pier dock on North Sea. If you show the photos, James, you'll see that this is consistent with what they have next door. There's actually a similar kind of dock, and there's a pretty good-sized boat dock there. And we'll be up in the upper left corner, you can see that. So, we're staying the proper distance, this is a fairly narrow channel, so we're staying on our side of it. There's navigation.
There's no water.
Through the middle. And we don't have enough water for a float, but we do for the catwalk.
You making it L shape?
Yeah, it's in L shape.
Why don't you just go straight out?
Just because we wanted to have, better access to the boat, because the boat's gonna be parallel, just like it is on the one next door. Gonna be docked parallel to the.
Easier to dock it.
Easier to dock it, yeah.
There's not much water.
It's about as, we,
I think you just want to have a dinghy go across to the other boat on the, I think he meant to slip at Conscious Point.
oh, this guy does?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I meant it more out
What about limitations on construction during the alewife season?
I don't know, is that common?
In this area?
In this area? Yeah.
It's the alewife drain,
Oh,
this
yeah,
is
it's
the
yeah.
largest. This
What,
is-
what is that? I'm not familiar with that particular, is it the breeding season? So that's about a month?
Usually middle of February to middle of May,
Oh, yeah.
so if
Well,
that could
if
be
we
put-
get our permits, I think we're gonna go right away on this, so that shouldn't be a
It'd
problem.
be by May 1st, the Alewives have gone by there. They're in the pond already.
Okay.
You think this
They're long.
project would create an issue with that?
No, I
No,
think,
but
no.
I'm just, I think it's important that we start to include language.
We would
such
recognize,
as
yeah,
that.
yeah, but I mean, it's,
A
if
special
it was,
condition.
if it was March or April, up until now, I would say, hold the project until like after May 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Because once May 1st hits, the Alewives are already up the drain and in the pond and pretty much.
It's pretty
ready to
mucky
rag.
bottom there, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
How thick do you think that muck is there?
I didn't walk in it. I just looked at it from the surface.
Billy, would there be any question about the one-third regulation that we have?
It's,
It's
it
in
must
it's
be
in
hard.
within that, because
Yeah,
we
we-
measured that out.
We measured
before.
it.
I'm just making sure because I know there's.
We have a,
question-
yes, we have a big problem down there right now.
Yes.
I mean,
That's why we originally made it shorter. The original plan was longer with a float.
by looking at that, it doesn't, yeah.
it's 80 feet
Yeah.
across, and this dock is out 27.
It's also, on the other side is all wetland, and there aren't any docks.
But it's very close to Conscience Point Marina,
Yeah.
like
Looks like you'd
just,
But it, I mean, the water, I mean, you can see that
60, so
It's right-
channels,
it'd be
four and a half
Can
to
you do the
4.7.
overhead shots?
You'll be fine.
it's out of the navigable
Yeah,
channel,
he's,
so
I think he's fine.
it'll be
Yeah,
good.
that's-
Aaron, what was
The
the last
land,
thing?
Forces Way is owned by the town.
If you look where the deep water is in the channel, it's, it's about 20 feet away from the edge of the dock.
No, no,
I think
no,
it's
it's
good.
right down the middle.
Yeah.
He cleaned up, that homeowner cleaned up that area. It was a mess. Big time.
I think you're good.
Okay, great.
You think it's good?
I'm good.
Good.
Everyone's good with it?
I'm
And you
good.
good with it? Then we'll advance it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we jump to 23
Sure.
Cormorant Drive?
Funicello?
Yeah.
23 Common Drive.
Yes, 23. So this is just a simple platform and stairs with a landing to the beach.
Yep. Can you stick that up there, James?
Meeting the Blue Book?
Yep,
No treated materials?
No treated materials?
and it's parallel to the bulkhead, so it's kept close to the bulkhead to not interfere with the public passing way. So it's a good project. I looked at it and,
Good.
Is there any beach along there?
at low tide.
Yeah,
yeah.
low tide.
There is?
Yeah.
You can get by?
Low tide, you can walk there.
Yep. It used to be high tide.
Used to
but-
be high tide.
But not anymore.
Not today.
No.
It's unfortunate.
Yep,
You good?
I'm good.
You good?
Good.
Thank you, Aaron,
I'm good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Be well, everyone. Speak soon.
and you.
Trustee Warner?
I have one for Suffolk County, 215 Long Neck Boulevard, Flanders. Originally, we had issued a permit to the homeowner on this property. The town was the agent at the time. Now that the county has taken it over, it's in desperate need of a bulkhead replacement. They were just gonna patch it, but there's nothing really left to patch it. The whalers are kind of, the top whaler is broken out in several sections. The fill behind the bulkhead is filling in the canal, which is dredged by is going to be dredged by the community. There is a launching ramp there that is, they're gonna reconfigure the bulkhead around it. Yeah, like I said, it's in desperate need of, to be replaced.
And this is the county's doing this, Ed?
The county submitted an application in their name, yes.
Are we gonna waive the fee since it's the county?
Yes, I was gonna bring that up.
And what is the county gonna do with the property afterwards?
That's a question that they're gonna have to discuss with the town. I believe it's still in litigation with the property owner. But they technically own it with the back taxes. I don't know how that works, because the county, the agent prior to this was the town for the property owner. We gave them a permit to do this whole bulkhead replacement, and they never did it. The house has been taken down, the property is completely vacant. It would be a great launching ramp and a kayak area for the public access,
That's what I was thinking.
but that would have to go through the,
CPS fund and all the town.
well, the county owns it. We could buy it from back taxes if we wish so, or the town. But dealing with that community, they really don't want anybody in their community other than themselves, unfortunately.
They want a
And-
toll gate.
But they also want us to pay for the dredging, which is a private canal. So getting public access on that canal would
easier
give
for them
them,
to get a dredge if we had that. as a-
it would, but I don't want to get into that.
You're in a
ball,
different ballgame. I think right now the objective is being met, and that is to stop the
Yeah, give them the permit.
filling in of the canal.
Yep. Objective
is met.
Yes.
Let's
Yep.
move this forward.
I think we should move it forward.
Okay, I'm fine with
100%.
that.
Okay? Stuff that's in our purview has been met.
It's already been
Moving forward.
permitted once,
Okay.
but we're just,
Following
the name.
Following the rules.
yep, we're good.
Okay, Trustee Welker.
This is a project, if you don't mind bringing it up, James, I thought that Nick Jimenez was going to come and represent, but this is a project that was a water quality application from 2018. It is for the end of Middle Line Highway on the east side of Round Pond. There's communal or cooperative ownership there. The north side of Middle Line Highway is owned by Sag Harbor Village. The south side is Southampton Town Highway Department. What we are talking about is the removal of the bulkhead, which consists of both a timber portion and I think it's aluminum portions on the side. So when the bulkhead is, what they're attempting to do is habitat restoration and mitigation of stormwater here. So they're going to remove the bulkhead and recreate a more natural shoreline in this area with native plantings, both wetlands plantings as well as more upland plantings. And then they're removing, I think it's 150 feet of road to create a rain garden, but installing either a permeable paver or a bluestone path for emergency access and for access for recreation. This pond is used by kayakers, canoers, and the Sag Harbor Fire Department was concerned because it's used for ice skating in the winter as well. I think that it's a good project. It's been in the works for quite a while. It got a bit stalled. The design process has now been completed. COVID has held it up. It has tremendous community support from Sag Harbor Village, from local residents, from the Friends of Long Pond Greenbelt. I think that this is something that we could do that would help not just Round Pond in the Long Pond Greenbelt, but the community at large there. So
Yeah, it's been about 16 years in the making.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I picked this up when John Semela retired, and then Bruce picked it up for me, and now you're picking it up.
I had it before Bruce.
That's right, you did.
Yeah.
Some of these projects take a long time.
And actually, it's morphed into something that's way better than the original project, so I have.
Way back then, the biggest problem was no money.
There was no money, and there was a bulkhead and a elevation of the property. It was pretty complicated.
But I think now that it's really been worked out. The plans look great for it, and it will help Round Pond considerably. So I'd like to.
And the public will have safe access there again,
Yes.
because now it's pretty.
It's a good project, just like Agawam.
Yes.
Same idea.
Mhm.
Community access, safe community access.
With a
So-
fairly large watershed, actually, because it's quite steep there. So it comes down all the way from up in Mount Misery when it rains. So I think this looks good.
It'll make more people want to go down there and hang out and use the access,
Yep.
So we're advancing?
Yep.
Please.
Okay.
just like Scholar Pond Road.
Now we've got Trustee Parish. You've got Maureen going, 41 Huntington Lane, Flanders, with enviro permits.
Are we going to waive the fees for that too?
Yeah, well, we would do that.
We just want to put it in the notes.
We would do that. That's like our own project or whatever.
Yeah.
But we won't charge ourselves a fee.
Well, you never know nowadays.
Good morning.
Good morning, all.
Morning, Clay.
How you been? Good?
Good, yourself?
Yeah.
Good.
The ailment hasn't got me. And I've been pretty lucky.
Good for you.
Okay.
All right, tell us what this is. Give us a quick summary.
Excuse me?
Quick summary.
A quick summary. This is a replacement pier, one that was there permitted by the town and DEC, Army Corps, and had washed away due to a storm, or what I think attributed to the problem of washing away was the pilings were insufficient in length, and they just popped out. So I've redid the plan somewhat to
Clay, the ice pulled it up.
ice too. ice too, but they evidently were a little bit short.
Yeah.
And it all attributed to being what it is. But seeing that we don't have too much ice anymore, not significant like we used to have in my day, I increased the size of the pilings, the length of the pilings, and keeping it within the town requirements of square. And so that's just a replacement stairs at the end. They canoe, they don't do boating. It's kind of a mucky in there at low tide, and it's kind of insufficient water for a outboard. They do get jet skis in there. They mess it up a little bit, but not as much as prop dredging and that type of use. And they just kayak. They just appreciate that small pond and or little waterway there, and they go out into the into the Peconics when it's weather permitting. And it's kayaking, canoeing has become even greater these years. I even got my son even got interested in it, and he doesn't like boats.
We Blue Book compliant, James?
The only thing is the swim float.
Right.
The trustees don't usually give a swim float other than ponds.
Right, that's what I was looking at, that 8x8. I wasn't
Idle
sure where that
swim
was in the
float.
Blue Book.
It's not really something that the trustees have.
I can't hear you.
It's not something that the trustees would permit a swim float in the title.
The DEC allows, without a permit, a swim float, and that's primarily for young guests, jumping in and out of the water, just as you would at any public beach enclosure type arrangement. I know ISOP has swim floats, and it's just for kids to jump in and out of water, sunbathing. You primarily find them in lakes and
Yeah.
stuff like that, where people just swim out, sit on them for a while, and then swim back. If it's not something you want, it can be
What's
removed.
the regulations say?
We do.
Fresh water.
Fresh water, we don't permit them in salt water. Marine District.
It's kind of like getting around a 6x20 float that you would have in a tidal area
Yeah.
by putting a swim float out farther. But it only says, the regulations only say that it's for permitted in freshwater.
Correct.
How much water does that swim float sit in?
I don't know.
About 18 inches. It's not much water there at low tide.
It's not much, there's nothing.
You don't want to touch the bottom of your feet.
So, let me,
Diving off of a swim float in that deep water with a mushroom anchor could be hazardous.
that's what I'm saying, that's my concern, is that
Yeah,
you may
we don't-
create a unsafe,
Situation.
We don't permit them now, so that's something that,
I mean, that's the only issue with this project, Clay.
If you don't want it,
Was there anything else, trustee? Oh, we had notes.
I mean, you could make the end of the dock a L shape, so that might give them a little bit more room if they want to sit out there, instead of having a swim platform.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Make the end of the dock like L shape, so they can sit
on the dock.
on the dock instead of having a swim platform.
I mean, you're gonna have, is there a ladder at the end of this thing? How is this?
There's a ladder at the
Yeah,
end,
the ladder has to
and
be-
the,
So you got a ladder at the end.
at the cross view, that's to primarily get onto the kayak or canoe.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, it's not in our regulations, so how,
No.
we can't do it.
No.
So we
Okay.
can't do that. So we can do everything except for that, right? Bill? William?
Looks that way.
And how about
James?
the handrails?
Yeah,
lot
there's too many handrails on
Yeah, there's too much, what is the,
It looks,
4x6 pass.
can you zoom in on that? Please,
too heavy?
might be too heavy. Are those
Hey,
handrails?
What is the,
One, two,
What are those things?
3 handrails?
yeah, what does the handrails look like, Clay? What do you got for handrails here?
It's, the handrails are just, just a railing, as you would see on a fence on a farm or something like that. The DEC doesn't like the uprights because it's, causes additional shading.
Yeah, we don't want to get a lot of uprights either, but we like to
Yeah,
go with
so
minimal.
this is minimal
But what, do you have a cross-section on your plan for the rails?
On
think
your
it's on this
plans
one,
here,
yeah.
you have the top handrail, then you have, looks like 8 inches down, you have another, looks like a 5/4 by 4, then
It has two drops.
2 drops.
Two
So-
drops because of
No, no,
the,
talking about these right here. This and this is what we're talking about. The top handrail's fine, but these two.
Can we make them one?
oh, you only want one? Okay.
Can we do just one? We're trying to minimize,
Yeah.
like, do we
Yeah.
need the two?
You get the view,
It'd be less.
No, I can put just one in the middle.
Yeah,
you know, or none,
Okay.
and, you know,
or use wire.
light as possible, we don't wanna,
Sorry about drawing on you.
I would say, oh, sorry.
like what the DEC doesn't want, like those, we
Yeah,
don't want
because
that.
it's an inch, you put them all together and it's a wall.
We don't want that.
No, we don't want
We
that.
want minimal
Visually,
safety,
no,
That's
no
it.
painting of them,
yeah,
no,
no,
no plastic white PVC.
no, no,
And you can see it from the other side of the bay.
from outside of the township.
Yeah, it's pretty, it's bad.
And where did we stand with pier line
Just
here,
float
with the length? Where do we stand with the pier line, with the length? I
James?
thought
See that, right. Hey, Ed?
it's
Go with the pier line?
Flow through up there?
It would be.
Yeah, that would be better if the dock would flow-through decking.
Have the deck and flow through.
When you say pure line, what do you mean? Decking?
The
Length.
length.
of the
Length,
pier,
I think it's at
100 feet.
I don't think there's a. pure line for
117
the-
feet from the,
100 feet anywhere, so it's
So it'd
not,
be 100 feet. and
Well,
then bring
I'm-
it back
I'm
to
counting in
25 if you
the-
don't make
the slope.
appreciable water depth.
He's too long, James?
That's up to you guys if you think.
There's no pier line length for this area, did you look at that?
There's no pier line, so it's 100 feet if you can make the appreciable water depth, but if you can't.
now, is that 100 feet from low water, high water, or at the top of the crest of the bluff?
high water.
So where are we at on
Because
that?
this is at the top of the crest of the bluff.
Could we see the
117.
cross-section again?
Yeah, see where he's at from high
Did you-
water.
Did you do, because I thought I saw it on there.
From high water, it would be
86.
around 70 to 80 feet.
So he's
north.
under the
Okay.
100.
It would be,
So-
it would be.
Yeah,
So you're okay there?
It's
Yeah.
comparable that was there, what was there
So-
before.
Just
It's
the
actually, I
handrails,
think-
it's just the handrails and the float.
and the
Yeah.
flow.
Swim
Yeah.
platform.
It's doable.
Yeah, that's all. Other than that, I think it's okay.
Get rid of the float. and
Yeah, get rid of that
handrails.
float,
And the handrails.
Lighten up your
All the-
handrails.
Lighten up the handrails.
and you're okay.
One additional question, since this is a replacement, would there be a charge per square foot on the structure?
It's all the, yeah, it would be, yes.
Yes.
You
Yes,
also, you
still.
would use flow through for the
Yes.
decking? Is that on your list?
And non-treated lumber too, it's not on the cover sheet.
You have to be done.
I see he's got tropical piles, I saw it right there, he's got tropical piles,
Yeah, but
tropical
on the
spring,
cover-
on the cover sheet, you
Yeah.
gotta update it.
Yes, it's all
So,
as,
It's all compliant material.
So,
yes.
Well, it says all lumber to be 100% green heart, so
yeah, that's
you
true,
guys are okay with that? then?
Yeah.
we are.
Okay. So, remove handrails, remove swim float,
Swim float, the railing,
and then
Yeah,
Flow through.
the top handrail's staying, the 2 little handrails.
two in the middle will be one,
Yeah.
Be one, or wire.
3 inches wide.
Yeah, no more than 3 inches. And flow through decking?
Yeah, on the, yeah, the material.
Is there a lot of submerged aquatic vegetation there?
No, but there's a lot of wetlands it's gonna go
There's a lot of
across.
wetlands,
Yeah.
limited on submerged aquatic vegetation because of the mud.
Okay,
It's all.
so you're gonna amend to, light penetrative decking?
Yes, I
Okay,
think that's
so-
in there. Graded decking.
All decking graded vinyl material?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's perfect. That would-
Perfect, you
that'll
got it.
work very
You
well
got
in
Got
that
it, yeah.
area.
Everything I do has that in there.
he's good,
Okay. What do you cook?
you're good. Just gotta make those couple of changes.
Yeah, okay. Can I ask you one question?
Yes.
On 11A Lighthouse Drive,
Yeah.
have you formulated a resolution or a statement as to what you wanted there?
I thought we were going to permit what
Just put
was
one.
currently
So it
there,
should be
and the
just one.
remaining 20
No
feet
more
or
than 3 inches wide.
that was not finished was gonna be
Top
left
of
as it was.
Okay, so you want me to write it, or you're gonna write it?
Yes.
Because the lawyer was gonna write it.
You should write it.
Wanna call
because
this?
I
that-
should write it. Okay.
James,
These two
11A,
people, one of
the
you
one that
wanted
we
to
had
know.
worked on with Mr. Caulfield, the pier, I mean, the breakwater that there, the wooden breakwater, it was originally 62 feet. We were cutting it back to 40 feet, and the remaining 20 feet was gonna be left unfinished, right?
And remove that piece,
And remove that piece.
and
yeah.
the old sections on the end.
Yes,
There's 2 poles.
yep.
Okay,
You're good.
good, thank you, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you all.
Clay.
Stay well, Clay.
Have a good
So you're
afternoon.
advancing
tried.
that pending his paperwork?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
I
Mike.
will hopefully stay well.
Stay well, buddy.
Thanks.
Okay, the next one, we've got Lowell Dansker Irrevocable Family Trust, 62 Dune Road, Village of West Hampton Beach. Mr. Herman's here from N Consultants.
Okay.
How are you all doing?
Okay, how are you?
Hey, Rob.
Nice to see you.
I haven't seen you in a while.
I know.
Yeah,
Time
where
I
you
see
been?
you is at Paul's.
Where you been?
That's right. I do see Bill often.
Pizzeria?
Running.
Getting pizza? Oh,
Well, I'm
he's-
running.
He's running?
watching.
I'm running?
Never mind. I don't want to wear my new knees
I
out.
feel like Scott set me up for that. Okay, so this should be a reasonably straightforward application. This is a solid filled pier, it's U-shaped, with an adjacent bulkhead that dates back to the 60s. I found a really old permit from N Consultants when Roy Hagee was located on North Main Street in 1984, that showed it's based on an old 1965 survey. And at that time, the permit that was issued by the trustees was for the removal and replacement of a portion of that bulkhead that runs adjacent to the filled U-shaped pier. And then later in 2000, there was a permit issued by the board 7923 to Lawrence Bergman to effectively legalize the pre-existing solid fill dock. And at that time, a permit was issued to resheathe all of the bulkheading around the property. So all of the same sections that are proposed for in-place replacement now were resheathed at the time, and the interior of the filled pier was dredged. And so basically, this is very similar to the application from 22 years ago, except this is a full replacement as opposed to an exterior resheath. So the dredge spoil will be used to backfill the bulkheading, and there is an existing, it's about 14 feet wide, non-turf buffer there that's all mulched and planted. That runs behind the 55-foot section of bulkhead to the west of the filled pier. So that would be, just, continue to be maintained after completion of the project. You can see it there. There's kind of phragmites in the front. There's other vegetation that's either coming up naturally or been planted, kind of mixed in the back of that and between that area and that little retaining wall. There's some seepage that's coming out of that section, which is allowing that phragmites to hang out there.
That's a lot of decking.
Yeah, and all of the new decking does not continue past the pier. It's just around that area, and that'll all be replaced with untreated decking, obviously.
Call for untreated pilings, or you're replacing the pilings as well?
Yeah, everything would have to be untreated.
When was this originally put in?
I'm sorry?
When was this originally put in?
So it dates back to the 60s. It shows on that survey that was done in 1965, and you can see it in all the old aerials.
James, can you shoot back that far, please?
62?
Yeah.
That would be before it. That survey was from 65. What about 76? Yeah, you can see it there. Lot lines are a little off, but
What year was that?
76. That's
It's
prior
76.
prior to DEC jurisdiction.
Can you go back a little bit further than that? So where-
I can only do 76 or 62.
Okay.
There's a gap.
Yeah, so that would jibe with the dates of that survey.
Let's go back to 62 for a second. I just want to look at the shoreline. I want to see if the dock affected, act like a breakwater.
No, it's pretty much the same, Billy.
Yeah, pretty much the same.
Those look about the same.
Thanks.
It's about the clearest aerial I've seen from the 60s.
Yeah, everything was a little cloudy
A
in the
lot,
60s.
a lot of them online, they just.
Little
yeah,
fuzzy, a little fuzzy in the 60s, you know?
Got that, Scott. But seriously, a lot of the aerial programs online, they're pretty decent until you get, prior to 70, and then pictures get blurry. And that's the neighbor's dock to the east.
Good, William?
James, we compliant otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, it's replacement of what's there, so
Yes.
that's up to you guys whether you allow it or not.
It's compliant or not
You just want
compliant?
to go with 2 hollow docks?
No, they just want to maintain what's there. I think I forget if I talked to somebody before we filed for this, but basically, the board legalized all of this in
We had
2000.
this whole conversation.
It was you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see any reason to do anything other than just maintain what you have.
Yeah.
Why mess with it?
It's stabilized the shoreline as it is right now, so it's not, it doesn't look like it's causing
No.
any erosion or,
Just
yeah.
maintain the status quo.
That's,
It's not a bad thing sometimes.
that's the idea.
Yeah.
And just remind me, you're doing a bit of dredging with it, just 'cause
Yeah,
it
the
looks like
dredging
it's
just goes
showing.
in the inside
Just- okay.
of that pier, right, the dockage area. It's
I
not
think
a
it's
whole
fine.
lot.
No.
I mean, it's just, it shallows up as it gets close
I think that makes sense.
to the edges. So it's max 4 feet at low tide, standard dredge
and all the
depth.
material will be placed in the pier.
Stays on site,
Yeah,
backfill,
so-
and the pier's behind the
Okay.
bulkhead.
I think it's good.
I'm fine with it.
Good? We good?
Yes.
I'm good if you're good.
Advance.
Thank you all.
Rob.
Do you need us
Thank you.
Thanks for waiting.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a treasure, that one right there.
That concludes our regularly scheduled work session. I thought we were very productive today. Initially, we did schedule for an executive session to discuss personnel, but that was when Jessica was going to be present. I think that there may be some things that concern contracting that we may need to discuss with, and some potential litigation issues, so I still feel maybe a brief executive session is in order. So what I would like to do is I would like to make a motion to adjourn the work session and go into executive session for the discussion of contracting and litigation. So,
I'll second that.
seconded by trustee Warner, are we all in favor?
All
Okay,
right.
meeting adjourned, let's go to executive session.
We want to make sure that.